Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. I am jamming too. Thank you, Envy. Thank you. Camera 2 looks good. Thank you. Yeah. I got the new on the debate dashboard here. We got some new backgrounds, that are kind of fun. I think that's like kind of a cool addition. It cycles through some cool looking backgrounds. You know what I mean? And we added some more debate prompts on the rotating list here, so that should be cool. Do you think AI will extinct us? That's an interesting question. I think that AI genuinely isn't something that we should take lightly, but I also think that people kind of the fears are going to be more about like taking jobs than like extincting us, at least in the short term. You know what I mean? I do think that there's going to be a lot of people that are losing their job from AI, and I think that people actually don't talk about this correctly, in that people are going to lose their jobs and then they're not going to be able to get another job back, because what's going to happen is that their job, they're going to lose to an AI, and then they're not going to be able to learn faster than AI in the new field that they're going to be trying to learn in. So I do think that we're going to have, some permanently unemployed people in our workforce now. So it's like, what do you do for them? Like, what, like genuinely, like, how do you include them? And I think that it's a really important aspect that we're not talking about. And I don't think that just a UBI is enough. Like, I don't think that UBI for $1,000 a month is going to supplant, like, oh yeah, we took down your entire industry, but here's $1,000 a month. Like, that's not going to work. I think that we need to have a federal jobs guarantee, where the federal government mandates that like they are going to find a job for everyone with a living wage, and provide a job for everyone, because everyone that wants to work should be able to work, right? Everyone that wants to work in our economy and in our country should get a job. So I really feel like that's an important thing that we have to do. Hey Robin, how's it going? Happy Thursday to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, $12,000 a year in groceries is what I pay, and yeah, exactly. It's not going to be enough. $1,000 a month isn't going to be enough. Literally, many people want to work and they're not going to be. Yeah. Did you see the first AI generated fast food store? No, NB. I'm not surprised. I saw a couple of those barista and stuff. So they would be kind of like, the entire job, the entire store is just made by AI. So I thought that was interesting. Science is not controlled, King. Yeah, it's not. Robin's playing Econ. SimEcon.app. That is really cool. Guys, SimEcon.app, if you guys want to check it out. So I've made this thing. SimEcon.app. So I made this game in order to try to show kind of like how we got to this mess with the $36 trillion in debt. Because basically I kept hearing about the hysteria about the debt, and I was like, how big of a problem is this? And then two, how did we get here? And it's pretty easy to see if you just look through the numbers that we got here, because people, we cut taxes way too much on rich people. Like, it's just, if we had the Eisenhower tax plan, this would never have ever happened. We never would have had a debt like this, and we would be able to afford a ton of federal programs like the $400 billion that they're trying to increase the defense budget by next year. That could just pay for universal health care. That's the amount of money that universal health care would cost. So it's like, budgets are a moral document, and we are failing to provide. And it's really interesting. You can see on SimEcon.app, you can see, you have choices. You have moral choices too. What do you fund? What do you are okay with? But like something like a wealth tax, if you have more than $50 million, just a wealth tax of 2%, that's it. It's not just like, people need to realize that like there's a difference between wealth and income. Wealth is what you have in the bank and the savings account. Income is what you get from your paycheck. So a lot of billionaires they're actually avoiding a lot of these yearly taxes. So you should tax their wealth on top of it. And just 2%, a 2% wealth tax generates $250 billion a year. So I mean, we're talking huge amounts of money that isn't going to hurt anyone. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Yeah, and we are leaving our children massive debt. Yes, yeah, Robin. I think it's like it's not just the debt. It's setting up a government that doesn't work for them. We have to like create a system of government that provides a better quality of life for them. That's just what it is, as opposed to, who are we providing for right now when we're spending $1 billion in Iran every day? Like, how can you could possibly explain that? Yeah, Robin, exactly. Hiring more IRS helps too. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Bolstering the IRS so that they can get these tax cheats and stuff like that. Just having the IRS actually enforce the actual tax code as it is, not increasing the tax, guys. Like just having the IRS actually collect the taxes that taxes are due. We're talking another $100 billion a year. It's crazy. It is absolutely insane. Do you think that the Trump will get rid of the IRS? I mean, effectively, he's tried to trunk it, and tried to defund it how much as he can. So it's specifically he is trying to do what he can in order to take what he can. More money to waste on a hoax. I think that maybe you're talking about the Iran war. I don't know what else you're talking about. The nation is far worse off than when I was a kid. Yeah, I feel like the government right now is so bloated. We have Elon Musk going from like 30 billion to 800 billion in 6 years. We have massive amounts of billionaire wealth just ballooning in their value. And why is that? It's because we haven't been able to tax them, and then they haven't been paying any income tax, basically, because they don't actually take income. They create more wealth by daisy chaining loans against one another. So they basically, their stock unrealized gains from their stocks, they take that and then they leverage that on a loan, and then they take that loan and then they use that for income, and they use that in order to pay for things. That's how, for example, that's how Elon Musk bought Twitter. So he bought it based off of the evaluation of his Tesla stocks. But guess what? Like, he didn't actually have to pay any taxes on that because he didn't sell those stocks. So normally when you sell a stock, basically if you've owned it for less than a year, then it's your regular income rate. And if you have that for more than a year, then it's the capital gains rate, which is like 15% or something like that. They don't pay any of that. They don't pay a single dime in any of that. Billionaires do not pay any type of income tax on their income from their wealth. So it's really important for everyone to realize that billionaires have financial instruments that you do not have access to, and it creates a way for them to make money that doesn't allow them to lose any money. Like, they can basically, they're impervious from losses, but they can be extremely risky and gamble with their wealth and know that they're going to be bailed out. Because, like, is Elon Musk ever going to go bankrupt in the United States of America? No. Like, why not? Well, because he's the number one recipient of defense grants, right? He gets $200 billion in government contracts every year. So do you think that the federal government is going to sit here and be like, oh, okay, well, you win some, you lose some, Elon Musk went bankrupt. Oh, well. No, they're going to bail him out, dude. They're going to absolutely bail him out. Make ordinary people reach stock markets so ordinary people can have their share. Koi, again, you're right. Robinhood and other banking apps like have allowed that to happen, and I'm for that. I'm for like people having access to the markets. But you need to realize that just because you can trade on a stock market doesn't mean that you have the financial instruments that they have. Billionaires have you are not taking a leveraged loan on your unrealized stock gains. You're just not. You don't have that money. And you can do things like covered calls on stock that you have that you just get paid for having stock. So again, like there's derivative trading, capabilities that they have access to that you do not. In theory, you do, like through ETFs and stuff in a small amount, but you don't have like 10,000 shares of Tesla, do you? So that's kind of the problem. Yeah. How do you support GMOs without seeing the danger in non-corporate agriculture? Non-corporate agriculture. I mean, genetically modified organisms. I mean, they've created the plants that people grow in the non-commercial space. So again, like, I would argue that the banana has been genetically modified. I would argue that the watermelon has been genetically modified, even if it's not being like through molecular manipulation through molecular biology. I still think that it's a form of genetic manipulation. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that they still absolutely benefit from it. Those people are paying lobbyists too. Yeah, they are. They are paying a ton of lobbyists. Yeah, he does have a lot of government contracts. Exactly. Giving access to markets that can actively be manipulated is not the best answer. Exactly, Ghostbusters. That's a really great point too. Like anyone that's tried to trade in the last 6 months knows, and you can see how insane it is that how the market manipulation that's been going on. I mean, it's absolutely wild that it is. I mean, the SEC would, in any other way, it absolutely would be cracking down, but it's not. Yeah, exactly, Geo. Yeah, retail traders don't get to do the money laundering at night either. Yeah, you don't have 24-hour trading, but I mean, you have after hours, but it's not the same. You don't have access to the insider trading. Selective breeding is not GMOs. Yes, it is in the future. Yeah, it is. Yeah, selective breeding is. It's a form of genetic modification. Absolutely. Yeah, it's directed evolution basically. Yeah, it's not natural selection. It's human selection breeding. Yeah. Plant grafting is not GMOs. A tomato and a scorpion cannot make a new kind of tomato. Yeah, I wasn't saying that a tomato and a scorpion could make a new type of tomato. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Climate change is real, and it's being harmed by humans, and humans are increasing it. Yeah, absolutely. GMOs do feed the world, but they are not required. I would say that, yes, I would say that they are required in the fact that if we wanted to actually feed the 8 billion people that are on here, if you got rid of all the genetically modified organisms that have existed throughout agricultural farming in the last 10,000 years, you just wouldn't have the plant productivity in order to sustain it. Yeah. Evolution did produce humans, absolutely. What kind of GMOs are problematic, if any, in your opinion? I think that like there's a huge it's a problem when like genetically modified organisms, since they are a product, they have to protect their investment and their patent, so they disable the ability for the restorer gene to make a seed. So what happens is people think that, oh my gosh, well, now that there's a subscription model for my plant, and that's not fair. And if you don't understand that, then maybe that is kind of like, that's a form of exploitation, right? So I think that there's some stories in India and stuff where that's happened, where people didn't realize that you weren't just buying like one type of maize plant, you have to buy it again and that kind of thing. So I think that is bad. But I don't think that genetic modification is a bad thing in and of itself. I think it's a really good thing, and it creates crops that can live longer in arid environments and salty environments. And we're basically increasing plant productivity per acre, so you have more fruits and vegetables per acre, so those farmers can make more money. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? If they didn't need to and they didn't want to buy genetic modified organisms, they don't have to. But the thing is that farmers want to, because genetically modified organisms require less pesticides. They have more plant productivity per acre. It's just a benefit for them. So that's why they choose to do it. Hey, Ducray, what's up? We don't have a problem with natural breeding. We don't have a problem with transgenic organisms. No, in the future, that's not right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not the exactly. GMOs produce stable crops with greater volume, use less water. Not all GMOs are freaking food. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that the hysteria around genetically modified organisms and like organic is truly an awful thing that we have to fight back against. GMOs being patented, crazy. Yeah. I mean, so in the United States, basically plants can be a patent, and it's a specific, like it's its own thing actually. So it's its own category of patent in the United States, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, a biotechnology company, their product is a plant. So if you can have someone just buy one plant, then it's not a product, right? So they disable the ability to make more plants with that plant through like disabling the seeds, that can be made through that. So that's a way that they protect their investment. Climate change, climate science is settled. Yeah, Brown. Yeah, it absolutely is settled. Yeah, we are changing and manipulating the environment in lots of different ways. We're changing the entire ecosystems. We're causing mass extinctions of organisms. Yeah, it absolutely is. What about Monsanto? Monsanto is a company. I mean, and I think that there are greed problems, and problems with exploitation in all types of business practices. If you wanted to be greedy and exploitative, then I think that Monsanto as a company doesn't mean anything about like transgenic organisms in general. Transgenic organisms are used to extract wealth from developing nations. No, that's not true at all in the future. They literally used developing nations use transgenic organisms in order to create more fruitful, more productive plants that they use and to feed their population. So like golden rice is a good example in the Philippines. So again, it's actually like way better. Like yeah, it's just completely wrong. Infertile plants. Yeah. Yeah. Trump's number one. Okay, I'm glad that you think that, Michael. That's great. What a disaster. Thank you, Area. Thank you for. It's always nice to have a fan. Nice to be in here. Where's your pronouns? Your mom. Those are my pronouns. What's up, Jackson? How's it going, man? Let's see. Oh, Guacamole Kid. What's up, man? I probably don't like raw milk. No, because raw milk hurts people. So why would I? And chemtrails don't exist. They don't. Yeah. I hauled raw milk for 17 years. You should not drink raw milk. Okay, interesting. Never had a problem. I've never died, so maybe people can't die, Guacamole Kid. I don't know. Prove to me that people can die. Doctors will be held accountable too. Oh no. Oh, not me. Oh, Jude, my name's not even Greg. Okay, please don't come for me. I'm so scared. Oh, okay, Arya, gotcha. I wasn't saying that you were a disaster. I was saying that the world is a disaster. So sad. I gotcha, Arya. Sorry. I mean, I'm only just changing. I'm just reading chat, so it can be a little discordant. So thank you for saying that. A lot of trolls today. Yeah, 75. We get. I mean, the daytime crowd is a little different, so it's all good. All good. I'm all happy to spread science and teach science in the day, so it's always good. For-profit HC companies have incentive to push vaccines that aren't necessary for the entire population. Vaccines are necessary for the entire population, Evan, and people and governments know that, and that's why they push it, because it keeps people healthy for longer, and it's a huge economic advantage to have your population vaccinated. It's 11-to-1 economic driver. So every $1 spent in vaccines is $11 coming back into the economy. Oh, what? Oh, Mary Curry came back. She's actually listening right now. I don't have her on right now. Let's see. I'll turn her on. Oh, Jay, what's up, man? Nice to see you. You haven't been here in a while. I hope you're doing well. Okay, cool, Arya. Thank you for being here. I support science, though research, I am more social science. Education is so important. Yeah, Lydia. I mean, social science is so important too. You know, social science is how we understand conspiracies, how we understand misinformation, how we better understand and fight back against what's happening right now. Is, you know, the interplay of culture and society is sociology. So we need more sociologists, more so than ever. So yeah. Oh, cool. Cool. In the future, you have a PhD in mesoscale physics. Cool. So you have no idea what you're talking about for genetically modified organisms. That's awesome. Thank you. I can't wait. I can't wait to tell you my hot takes on physics. That's good. Just let AI be the sociologist. How could an AI study human culture if it doesn't even understand what humans and culture are? So yeah. Dr. Greg, do you ever feel overwhelmed by the amount of anti-intellectualism of society today? Robin, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think that it is rampant right now only because of the way that algorithms push it. I don't think that anti-intellectualism is necessarily like a bigger problem now. I mean, obviously it is with the Trump administration, like kind of like pushing it, but like it's always existed. I guess my point is it's always existed in society, but now through the algorithms and through social media, we magnify it, that we kind of lift it up and we push it more. So I think that's the kind of the problem that we're seeing. So I mean, it's wild to me. Like, I mean, it's crazy to, you know, be in here doing these lives, you know, and it is kind of, it's wild. I mean, it's the same kind of questions that a lot of people have over and over and over again from a lot of different people, right? So it's like, what are connecting all those people together? And it's like, well, they're being misinformed together, you know, by a broad scale, you know, use of algorithms in order to misinform people on purpose. So I think that that's why it's dangerous. No, I haven't in the future. No. I actually did my PhD in nanotechnology too. Have you ever done any nanotechnology? How do you feel about plant-based diets? I've been healthy vegan for 20 years. Nice. Yeah, Jellybean. I think that plant-based diets are great. I think like as long as you're getting the amount of protein that you need and the micronutrients that you need, it's good. You know, I think that there is too much focus put on like meat protein specifically. You know, I think that, you know, we should have and incorporate higher quality meats less often in our diets, you know, as omnivores, if people aren't vegan or vegetarian, you know, like, so if you are eating meat, like make it a nice cut, you know what I mean? Like try to, you know, eat it less often in your diet. You're going to be more satiated by having more plant based diets in your diet anyway. Less likely to overeat, less likely to eat in a caloric deficit. I mean, a caloric increase and gain weight that way. So I think in general, it's a good thing, a really good thing. Anti-intellectualism exists because we are being fed by the media. Yeah, Koi. Yeah, my big thing, and I kind of like, I think that these algorithms are basically stealing free will from people. They're literally stealing people's ability to think for themselves, unfortunately. Fluoride is worth it in the water, and we know because of the cavity increase that's going to happen in a lot of these states. So unfortunately, it's we are all going to be paying for the the decrease in fluoride in water. So yeah, it's absolutely fluoride in your toothpaste and in the small amount that you get it in the water, it helps people. And that's absolutely been demonstrated. And there's the hysteria around it is just embarrassing. Okay. What's up, guys? Sorry, I'm gonna catch up with you in red chat. The reliability of the scientific method is demonstrable. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So many people are in plain denial, and so many obvious truths. I mean, Guacamole, you believe in so many conspiracies that, like, that's the problem, is that, like, so many plain truths is you're literally dabbling in conspiracies. Yeah, debate dog, exactly. Yeah, the tap water is fine, guys. It's fine. Like, I mean, if you have like an insane amount of lead or something in your pipes, then that's its own thing. But like, just in general, tap water in the United States is safe. Yeah. It's Guacamole. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. So like, clouds are seeded in like Saudi Arabia and stuff in order to like increase the amount of storms and stuff. That does happen. It does happen, but it's not like happening at weather manipulation levels that you're espousing to, where they're creating hurricanes and stuff like that. That is the conspiracy that you are pushing, which is dangerous and wrong. So it is absolutely a conspiracy. Are you a professor? I was at UC Riverside for a quarter for a microbiology professor, and I'm actually applying for a bunch of professor positions right now. So we'll see. Maybe I can become a professor at a community college or something. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see, guys. What about PFAS? Yeah, I think that, look, those are kind of interesting. Why isn't she going? Why isn't she talking? I don't understand. Those type of like PFAS and stuff like that, I think that they're new, and we should absolutely study them more. The problem is that I don't trust anything coming out of the FDA right now, because it's become so ideologically trapped. I don't know. That's the thing, is that like we're gonna need like other countries, other ways of understanding things in order to make conclusions on that. I don't know if I trust the FDA anymore. So if I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about chemtrails. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. What's up, user 80076233763115? Every time, a name that I can't remember, I can't forget. I hope you get one. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you for that. I haven't trusted the FDA in a long time. I mean, I understand the sentiment. I understand like what you're trying to say. I think like in general, I mean, before the Trump administration, I would say that the FDA is pretty heralded as like one of the best organizations in the world in terms of federal like regulation of food and drugs. I mean, so much so that other countries kind of trusted the judgment of the FDA. But now with the Trump administration just basically taking it over and not using any type of science to back up their reasoning or changes, it's embarrassing and it's causing people harm. So it's just not okay. Yeah, it goes. I don't understand. It's very, very weird. What's up, Debate Doc? How's it going, man?
All right, how are you?
Good.
I do enjoy this early time, although
Nice.
the late time is also nice because I am a vampire, and it is nice having like somebody that I really like on super late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been trying
But
it
I
out. It's been interesting. I've like just the reach in the different group is kind of it's different. So yeah.
um but I just had a couple of thoughts while you were just kind of chatting with the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, one, the first one was kind of related to the anti-intellectualism
Yeah.
sort of topic. Um, I mean, I think that anti-intellectualism is the much larger issue
True.
that is obviously much more prevalent on the right, but there is a related, I don't know if I call it an issue per se, on the left, maybe more of a pet peeve,
Hmm.
but something that I've noticed a lot in like some of these debate spaces is, you'll have somebody make a claim and then people, rightfully push back and say, hey, can you substantiate that? Can you provide some evidence?
Yeah.
But there's been this trend that I've seen where they're like, okay, show me a study, show me a peer review article,
Hmm.
like they kind of push for that. And so now you have all of these people, going to PubMed and will say the source is PubMed or the source is the NIH.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
really like belies the fact that you have all of these, it's like kind of a pseudo intellectualism where you have all these
Hmm.
people, you know, like either looking up these peer-reviewed studies themselves or pushing people to, go look up these peer-reviewed studies when they lack the wherewithal to like critically evaluate the studies,
Yeah.
or to even really like understand what they're looking at. They might like glance through the abstract, draw some, conclusion from that, and then spout it off as though it's this, rock solid fact that's been substantiated by, you know, really good, high quality scientific evidence. But there's a bunch of like shit on PubMed.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of
Yep.
predatory journals that pump out crap and they're
Exactly.
PubMed indexed. And like you can't really trust what they're saying. And these people like they don't have the capacity to, differentiate the the crap from the like good high quality stuff.
100%.
Um,
I
or
agree.
to like really parse the studies, like, evaluate the methodology, evaluate whether the claims made in the abstract of the discussion are really substantiated by, the methods and results. And I feel like and again, it's not like as bad or as dangerous as the anti-intellectualism, but I feel like there's a danger itself to people, kind of doing this and then saying things as though they are, like proven fact.
Yeah, I think when people
Um,
say like I have a study, it obviously means that they've seen a headline talking about a study and they've never read the study themselves. And I think that that's kind of like belies the main problem that happens. It's like people aren't like, if you're really interested in a subject, going into a scientific review, which is a review of other literature. It's not, literature itself, novel research itself, but it's like the compendium of all the research and just seeing the depth of knowledge and seeing how many, times it's been investigated and how the different ways it has been. That's like a much better way of kind of like understanding a topic than just a single, article. And what happens, and you're exactly right, is that like basically you're saying you're putting a conspiracy into Google and then you're finding search results and saying that, I'm right. Basically PubMed is kind of like a Google search for PDFs, a ton of exactly, you're right, predatory journals that you can publish anything, like literally anything with zero peer review. So the fact that you can find something on PubMed in and of itself doesn't actually mean anything. And it's really hard for people to understand it. And this is kind of like this is the problem that I have, man, where it's like people with MDs and PhDs now, especially after the pandemic, are grifting. And then now you have people with credentials after their names that are taking advantage of this anti-intellectualism. They are kind of like reinventing themselves and they're getting traction. They're getting places in the government. So it's like, it's hard to, you can't, and it's hard for me to say this to people, but it's true. You can't trust everyone with an MD or PhD after their name just because they have that. You can't trust everything that you find online when it has a DOI number. You just can't. It's just the lies that are being pushed are by these grifters that are trying to sell you products. They have referral links in their profiles. They're trying to sell you vitamin supplements as opposed to vaccines. Like, it's just like, it's crazy, man. It's insane.
yeah. And like whenever anybody, like rails against college and says like, oh, you don't need to go to college, it's a scam, it's a grift.
Hmm.
I did just fine. I started a business with no college education. Look at me now. I'm so successful. And it's like, you know, college isn't just meant to be like a, job training center.
Hmm.
Like a huge part of it is to help you like think critically and evaluate evidence and teach you like research methods and
Hmm.
things like that. Like that's why there's like genuine value in something like a liberal arts education. It just makes you like a
100%.
more well-rounded, thoughtful, critically thoughtful person.
Yep. I think that
um,
that's the main thing for, I mean, as a professor for a quarter, teaching 250 people, a lot of it is like administrative stuff, like a lot of, all good. Um, um, a, a lot of it is administrative. A lot of it is like how to source and cite and understand, what's going on. And how to evaluate a paper, what's going on in a paper, reading a paper in depth. I think that's like the real way to, that's the benefit of an undergrad education, and it also gives you a place to fail productively. I think that's genuinely the number one thing, which the number one thing that you need to do in order to learn something is to fail. And a lot of times in society, you're not allowed to go down different paths and fail and have like a reset spot where then you can go like and use yourself productively from there. And undergrad kind of allows you to do that. You can go into like different research labs. Like if you're interested in chemistry, you can join a chemistry lab. If you're interested in physics, you can join a physics lab. And if you don't like that, then you can just back out and say, okay, I don't want to do that anymore, and now I want to try something else. So I do think that the main value in an undergrad education is the ability to fail. The problem is that the grading system is so unforgiving that it doesn't, that people don't feel that people don't feel that ability to learn in that way through the university system because of the grading. And I think that that's the big moral failure of of university. So hey Patrick, nice to see you, man. Nice, always nice to have a fan. Thank you, Debate Doc. Guys, 2025 Guest of the Year, Debate Doc. Thank you for being here, man. Always love having Debate Doc on. An MD that is actually in the trenches with us, ladies and gentlemen, into these TikTok debates, actually helping educate people, a physician that's doing these debates. It's incredible. Hey, how's it going, Miss Cake?
Well, it's going well, except that I spent Tuesday in the ER.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that. What happened?
Well, let's just say that I'm postmenopausal, and I've had some lady business going on.
Okay.
I don't want to get graphic for everybody,
Okay.
but I found the answers to what was causing the lady business, or
Oh,
partially.
okay.
So now it's probably not anything deadly.
Oh, dang.
I'm gonna have to have a biopsy to prove that it isn't deadly, but I'm gonna really push to have the lady business yanked.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
it has no use anymore. We might leave the ovaries in, but
Yeah.
the
Hysterectomy
rest
is
is just gotta go.
totally normal, I think, at that time of life for those type of problems, I think. So that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. This is not. I mean, there are several things that can cause what I experience, but and there are a couple that are really quite significant, like if you have very bad endometriosis, or if you
Mm-hmm.
might have a type, maybe cervical cancer, um or ovarian cancer. Those could be significant, or tumors,
Mm.
that kind of thing. But they think that I just have fibroids, and
Mm.
and I have an ovarian cyst on one side, and
Mm.
I'll be okay. But I'm just like, please just yank this thing. Like, I don't need the yeah, Ellie, right? it's uterine, and I don't need it to anymore, because it's like It's like an old storage. It's like an old storage space I'm paying rent on that doesn't have anything in it.
There you go. There
I'm
you
kind of
go.
like, well, I just need to let this thing go. It's just, like maybe it's like a sunk cost thing. But that's it. But it was like I've been so fed up with my health plan. That's the other problem is health plans. I mean, I'm so glad that I am covered by Medicare
Mhm.
and that there is a Medicare Advantage plan that could do a lot of things for me that I've needed. But I'm also really unhappy with the fact that all of the upheaval and indecisiveness
Mhm.
regarding our health care and health insurance and first we get Obamacare and then a bunch of parts of Obamacare get rolled back and then we get President Turd Waffle
So
just
that's a nice way to put it.
President Shitstick just stirring the shit stick and making everything shitty.
There you go. So surprising. I'm so surprised. It's so crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That things are getting hard, and this is literally the problem I'm having right now.
Mhm.
My health insurance does not have an OBGYN in their network at all.
Wow, really?
In the Los Angeles area.
That's awful. How
Not
does that make
one.
sense?
I don't know how they thought that they can do this, but
Women?
most
They
of their
didn't
clients are
let
very
me
elderly.
1 second. I'm getting a call. Okay, yeah, women live in LA County. That is a thing that happens, so they should definitely have an OBGYN down.
Right, and I honestly, I and I don't even live in the densest part of LA County,
Mhm.
but I live like 20 minutes from like 5 major hospitals.
Wow.
So it's not exactly like I can't there aren't any around.
Yeah.
I mean, women have babies at Huntington Hospital, I think. They have
I
a
think.
maternity ward there.
Allegedly.
I mean,
Allegedly.
yeah. I mean, I'm really mostly familiar with their 3-day psych holds, but
As we all are. Well, I'm sorry to hear. I'm happy to hear that you have like some.
And my dogs are going nuts now.
Hopefully, you have some like resolution or something with the biopsy, and I hope it works out for you.
Well, I've got some case managers that are getting really pushy.
Nice.
With the insurance, and that's helping.
Yeah.
But my dogs are going nuts, and I have to go to the front door, and Voice wants to know what an OBGYN is.
Oh no, she's joking. She's joking.
It's an oh boy, I have to go to the gynecologist. That's what it is. That's what it stands
yeah, exactly. For. That it's that there. All right, Miss Cake. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, user 940-997-0097-107. Surely this will be. Let's see. How's it going, man? User, how's it going? User 9940. Did you misclick? I think it was a misclick. Okay. All good. Thank you for tapping the screen, guys. Thank you for, if you misclick, it's all good. I totally understand. Thank you for being here, guys. This is a daytime version of the Dr. Greg Show. We normally are at 9 o'clock at night. We are chilling though in the daytime. I have to prove it's a court mandated thing from the pharmaceutical companies in order to get my paycheck, that I have to prove that I am not a vampire because they are ran by vampires. So the pharmaceutical companies force me for my paycheck in order to be out here. Thankfully, I have all of the UV blocking through the windows in order to survive in my pale, pasty state. So I'm safe. I am safe from the UV rays. It is a prerequisite. Yes, exactly. Thank you, lolcow clips. Nice to see you. I think that patriotism doesn't mean purging that. I don't think that makes any sense. So I think that you can be critical about Israel, but still allow Israel to exist as a sovereign state. I think that that's what the weird part for me is, that people can't recognize that like Israel's a sovereign nation, just like Greenland is, so just like Ukraine is, and we can't be going through and just like taking out their nation. You know what I mean? So like just we can be critical of them, but don't take it out on all of the Jewish people. You know? You never mentioned Israel. Oh, okay, yeah. Wink, wink. You know, I mean, do you really think that like some full-throated hate of Zionism? You don't think that that's gonna like? I mean, what is the Zionist country going to be founded on? Like, you don't think it has any connection whatsoever with that? I mean, give me a break, man. Like, I mean, that's just like some cope stuff. So, yeah, don't be silly. Do you take advice from other? Oh, okay. Robin and Guacamole Kid were having fun in Red Chat. That's what was going on there. Good to see you guys. Howdy. Hey, what's up, Mr. White? How's it going? They exist. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. All calculus. I don't understand what their exact. Oh, Mary Curie, you're so funny. You're so funny. I don't know why she's not. Why not she's not speaking though. It's so silly. All right, living the dream. Nice, dude. Nice. I'm happy that someone's having fun around here. There you go. Yeah, I think everyone does do cray. It's crazy. I mean, it is so over what's going on right now. Mr. White. Nope. Mr. White 369. What's up?
Hey, we got to kind of be. I mean, at some point, it's all about we got to get over ourselves, and I put myself in there too. Mm-hmm. It's like giving back was the thing I did like maybe a decade ago for quite some time, and I didn't do it to better myself or I mean like in stature or whatnot. It was just service work. Service work comes from the quiet ones.
What are you referring to?
Just we need everyone. I mean, I get on these things and mm-hmm. listen, and I'm just like it's like I want to tell everyone, get over yourself. Mm-hmm. Start living your next best life and quit all the like we think we know what we're talking, but yet we have AI in the mix of mm-hmm. all of this stuff that's real. Mm-hmm. That's the explosions, the fires, all these buildings I mean, half of them aren't even destroyed. That's where they're trying to get. They've been testing us for about 6 months to a year. So yeah, it's like the if you had a model where you had it's hard to describe, but it's where each individual like stripe or next move, it's like we're at probably level 1 in the personal, like as far as like it's really hard, but they're in the 4. So they're really separated from us right now. I've seen some AI that just it just blew me away.
Yeah.
Anything, it just
They're very smart.
Look at the way the explosions go, man. There's no concussions around the anything. I mean, it's crazy how people are buying this. I'm telling you the truth. You guys got to wake the fuck up and be diligent, because it's more than you think. They are born storing us. Yeah, they're just high. I mean, it's crazy though. It's like what did it for me is when they started messing with my musicians, and they started giving them like something that I was at that show. They didn't do that. It's like That's where I saw it. I started seeing it like that.
Gotcha.
And
All right,
and
man.
when
Well,
you're gonna run into my stuff that I
yeah.
love, like Lane Staley,
Yeah.
I just got off a clip and he was like doing this really serious headbanging, like a Slayer group
Gotcha.
would. I mean, it's there. You need to really. We need watermarks or something like that
We
to
do.
give us a percentage
Yeah.
of what AI. I'm talking from the ground up.
Yeah. Yeah. We do need some type of like transparency on like what AI is.
Yeah,
and stuff,
we
for
do.
Sure.
We
yeah, I agree with you.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm telling you from the ground up, meaning everything is AI. So everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was created based on a composite dimensional type schematic that it's going to throw in the queue there and fill it in. This is like, I didn't even think like next level stuff. So they're getting into atmospheric, and when the atmosphere goes and that's like seems normal, it's going to be really hard. You're going to have to look at certain, where you think gravity should do this, and it's not doing anything. That's how you catch it. It's
Okay.
fooling the kids.
It's
And
fooling the
they
kids.
don't know any better because they've never seen these places. So they're like looking on the other side of Machu Picchu, and I think there might have been something, but when they showed it, I was like, what the hell is that? I mean, it was the weirdest thing. I mean, it's a full geological, like masterpiece, really. But you have to like train your eye to look into the environment, and that's how you're going to tell.
Gotcha.
Because the other stuff is just bullshit. Just look for that and
Thanks,
see
man.
how
Well, thank
much
you
you're going to see.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for letting us know. I totally agree. I think that AI,
I just,
AI is a
yeah,
problem.
you're
All right, well,
welcome.
have a good day,
I mean,
man. Thank you, man.
I've been like
Thank you. You're
racked.
good. Yeah, guys, I do think that there is a problem with like AI generated like videos and pictures. Like, how could we have a time, like a thumbprint or recognizing what artificial video is, and it's actually interesting. The biggest thing that I found was it was actually Google that's really interested in making sure to identify AI made video, because they want to make sure that their content is made by humans. So they have like a huge role and a huge push at Google to be able to specifically, handle that kind of stuff. So, like actually seeing what and how people are making AI videos. So, yeah, it's actually interesting. Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you, Zlotska in chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you're fine, Mr. White. You're good, man. All right. Well, guys, we're always looking for people to come up. The queue is empty. If you have any questions for a scientist, any ideas that you want to talk about, the queue is open. Whatever. Trying to catch up to chat here. Okay. All right, Mr. White. Okay, thank you. I'm blind. I got it. I am a microbiology PhD, but I basically do molecular biology. So I play, or in a football terms, like I play for the microbiology team, but inside of that team, I'm a molecular biologist. So like, how you can play positions on the field in football, I'm a molecular biologist. So I basically change the genomes and genes inside of microorganisms. So I give them new abilities that they didn't have before. I boost their native wild type or natural abilities, and we basically use microbes as kind of like a way to 3D print proteins and things that we want, and yeah, that's what we do. Can you explain why homeopathy is a placebo? Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because it hasn't been tested. It hasn't been shown to actually do anything, and it actually hasn't been shown to make any improvements, and no study has shown that. Yeah. How do I feel about Russia? I think last time I got a 1 week ban talking about that country, so I don't know if I can. I think that they sow disinformation online, and they harm the entire world by polluting the intellectual discourse of any platform that they can get into. So I think that I have no problem with Russians, but them as a country, I think that they sow discord and they sow disinformation online. Have you read all the studies on homeopathy? Have you read all the studies on microbiology? I don't think that that's possible. Any thoughts about RFK? RFK is dangerous, and he's going to hurt people, and he does hurt people by sowing a ton of misinformation and science denial. So it is wild. Yeah, no, definitely not, Mr. White. Yeah, you're just your conspiracy, like trying to bring a bunch of different elements together, man. And yeah, I don't think so. How do you know that there are no studies demonstrating efficiency? Because then they would be medicine. And if they have demonstrated efficiency, then they become medicine, as opposed to pseudoscience. Like, pseudoscience is stuff that hasn't been demonstrated through science, and science has been demonstrated through studies. And that's just how easy it is. Science denial is not a very scientific phrase. Yeah, it is. I mean, because basically what science denial is denying the coalition of different branches of science, different ways of studying a question, and denying that body of work and that research has been done in order to sow misinformation and sow in order to it basically shows the ability for people to wedge themselves into a position that they can make money off of, that they can take advantage of people off of, that they can lie about, that kind of thing. Nobody trains their hackers by the age of 3 that can hack into a power grid, dude. Like, how could you possibly think that a 3-year-old could sit there and hack into a power grid? Have you ever talked to a 3-year-old? Do you even know what you're talking about? Do you have any idea what the mental capacities of a 3-year-old are? I mean, that is just wild. Hey, Mary, how's it going? Good. My day's going well. Thank you for asking. Oh, okay, Evil. I'm sorry, Evil. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's hard for there's a lot of trolls in chat right now, so I'm sorry. I recognize your name now. My apologies. There were coalitions of thousands of years ago that things were absolutely false. Yeah, Seeds, but that science changes over time. That's the thing. Science changes over time, and that's one of the strengths of it. So the science has only gotten stronger and better over time, not weaker. Do you play games or not? I mean, I used to play a lot of like World of Warcraft and stuff, but honestly, no, not anymore. I haven't been playing like a bunch of video games. No. So, I've kind of gotten over it. I don't know. I just kind of like, yeah, it's just not interesting to me anymore. I have friends that still play. I wouldn't be opposed to like playing with friends, but I try to just kind of like be more productive with my time and having fun with it. Do I stream every day? So normally I stream at night. Normally I stream around 9 o'clock PST every night, but I've been dabbling with this kind of like daytime stream, trying to kind of like see and hang out with new people. So yeah, that this is a pro science. Basically, people can kind of like ask me questions, ask a scientist kind of stuff, and that's where it happens. Oh, I'm not bouncing around enough. There we go. Okay, Bennerwin 38. Hey, Bennerwin 38, how's it going?
Very good. How are you?
Good, man. What's up?
I had a question just related to the metric system in the United States, and if that had any relation to people's general misinformation towards science. Like, if the United States used the metric system, do you think that would be better for people's general understanding, or would it be worse?
Yeah, I think that in general, if we had like a unified unit of measurement across the entire world, it'd probably be better. But I don't think for the most amount of people that it makes a big difference in their everyday life.
Yeah, I just had like that generalized question because I went to sciencey school for college in upstate New York, and in general, for me, switching my brain to using the metric system for dimensional analysis and some other things, specifically in chemistry, I found it to be almost like learning a new language, which obviously in the United States and growing up in New York, they didn't really do a great job at forcing me to learn a second language. But I just thought it was kind of interesting to link the two, even if there's no specific papers about it. I've been out of school for a few years, so I was just curious your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that like in general, the problem that we have is more around like algorithms pushing conspiracy versus like the metric system. I think like, science is already unified in this, the places where it already kind of matters, kind of it is unified. So I would say that that's a good thing. But the problem is that like there are some measurements that are genuinely, I feel like I'm biased. I grew up with, in the US. So like, I think that like the Fahrenheit system kind of makes sense to me because you can like tell the difference between like a 72 and a 74. You know what I mean? In that day, it does feel a little bit different. So like those type of like unit of measurements kind of make sense as opposed to having just like a bunch of like smaller numbers that are more compressed together. I feel like that kind of makes sense. I like that, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously not proposing that we switch to Kelvin or something ridiculous, but I was just, curious in general. Yeah. So I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. Okay, have a good one.
Well, you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
See you, bye. Yeah, only two countries use metrics. So yeah, it is very weird how I don't know how we are so different than it. It doesn't make any sense. I like miles per hour. I like miles as like as a thing. I feel like a kilometer. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it would make more sense in my brain. Maybe a mile is too long and I can't understand it. And understanding like 5,280 feet is so weird and abstract. Like it doesn't make any sense. I'd much rather just have a metric brain if I could. You know what I mean? If I could just like start over, that would definitely be it. Intensa Sonya, how's it going?
Hello. Hi.
Hi. You just asked in chat, what's the relationship between patriotism and vaccines?
Yes.
Yeah, so patriotism is like the idea that you're looking out for your community. You're trying to improve, problems that exist in it, and it's like kind of like a compassionate way to look after one another. And in order to look after people that have that can't be vaccinated because of their age, because of their genetic predisposition, because of medications that they're on. Basically, we are like looking out for one another by being vaccinated and spreading less disease. So I would argue that you're not patriotic if you're spreading disease on purpose and harming other people. So that's
Oh,
that's
okay.
why that's why I think that
Okay,
patriotism
I thought,
requires
okay.
vaccines.
So it's kind of a socialistic argument that you were making. I was wondering why, because like patriotism for me was like something like nationalism, but okay, I understand better now.
Yeah, nationalism drive
Yeah,
against
I get
other
it.
nations versus like patriotism is more about like compassion for your countrymen kind of thing.
Okay, I understand now. Okay, so basically, it's more like a humanistic vision than. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I understand the humanistic, and sorry, I'm a French Canadian, so my English is not perfect.
All good. Thank
So
you.
sorry if I sound weird.
No, you're totally fine.
uh, okay, so but what do you think about when vaccines are imposed in a mandatory way and may cause some, I don't know, some distress in some people? I know that this happened maybe more in Canada than in the US, but what do you think about aggressively imposing vaccines?
Yeah, so I don't think that like we should strap people down to a board and vaccinate them, but we should make it required so that there is some like social friction that if you want to be in like social places and you want to be out in public, you should be
Mhm.
vaccinated. And I think that they should be
Mhm.
mandatory. So I like kind of like the Australian model where they basically give you a huge tax credit at the end of the year if you're vaccinating. I think that that's a good like social pressure. I know in places in Europe, it's like a one-time fee if you're not vaccinated for I actually read a study and they did, I think it was in France, or they removed the mandatory vaccinations for kiddos and basically they suggested it and then vaccine rates dropped like 10%. So I think it does make a difference in order to like make sure that kids are vaccinating. So yeah, I definitely think that it should be mandatory.
Okay. So I do understand that there are quite a number of vaccines that are important and that
Hmm.
have changed humanity history. Um, but what did you think about um, how the COVID-19 vaccination campaign was done? What do you
Hmm.
think about it?
Yeah, it went great. I mean, the original vaccine was actually the most like highly efficacious vaccine that's ever been produced. At 95% efficacy, when most flu vaccines are only like 60 to 70% on a good year. So it was 95%. And it was incredible. I think that, and it did a great job of eliminating people from losing their life from COVID-19. So, SARS-CoV-2 positive, having SARS-CoV-2 in your body is different than COVID-19, kind of like how HIV and AIDS are two different things. So basically, it prevented people from entering the worst symptoms of COVID-19 and losing their life. So I think worldwide, the studies now are saying about 3 million people lives were saved from vaccines specifically. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Where do you get your 95%? And is this percentage still right in front of like the new variants
So that's a good
or
point. Yeah. So
variations?
95, I was talking about the alpha variant, the 95% was
Okay.
from the Moderna and the Pfizer studies. They published those. So yeah,
Okay.
so it's
It's
from the
not,
FDA.
yeah, it's not the case anymore, I think. Do you know what it's like
Yeah,
the new
Correct. I think so. That's not going to be 90%, 95% efficacy, just because the new variants spread a lot more easy. But I think I don't know what the latest ones are, but I think that the biggest win for vaccines and why you should still like vaccinate for COVID and flu every year is basically like long COVID is a big thing. Long COVID is a neurological disorder that happens from SARS-CoV-2 infections, and it helps. It doesn't eliminate long COVID exactly, but it actually diminishes the likelihood significantly. So I would definitely say that it's a good thing to still get vaccinated.
So what do you think about the post-COVID-19 vaccination syndrome?
There is none.
Well, I have plenty of studies here in front of me. There are studies here from Wiley, from Frontiers.
Yeah. So basically those are like, most people are going to be vaccinated. So what happens is that they can get post vaccination infections from SARS-CoV-2. So yeah, it's the SARS-CoV-2 vaccination is completely safe and effective, and people should still be getting it.
So these studies are bogus?
I think that like there's a lot of there are some studies trying to bolster and make the spike protein better, but none of those studies are saying, the legitimate ones are saying that vaccinations is not the way to go and nobody should be vaccinated.
I'm not saying that the studies are saying that it's not the way to go. And I'm not implying that because there might be a very low percentage of people that can be affected and injured, which, I mean, it's been validated by science that there are people that can develop syndromes, chronic syndromes after some types of vaccine, and especially the COVID-19 vaccines. I know it's a very, very low percentage.
Yeah, we're talking we're talking about like 1 in a million. So it's like it's super rare, so in Guillain-Barré's and stuff is super rare.
It depends. I'm not talking about Guillain-Barré. I'm talking about the COVID vaccination. Okay. I'm talking about post-acute COVID-19 vaccination syndrome. I'm talking about the post-COVID-19 vaccination, which is like long vac syndrome.
Yeah, none
I'm
of that.
talking about.
Yeah, none of that. I mean, a lot of that is psychosomatic, where people like.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Come on.
Yes,
that
it
is meant. That
yeah, it is.
you
Yeah,
saying that for me sounds like medical gaslighting.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I mean, because you can. I talk to people, and every single Republican that comes in here that I'm
not a Republican.
Okay, well, I'm
not a Republican.
That's fine. You threw yourself on that sword.
I'm a socialist.
Okay.
I'm a socialist.
Sure.
I'm a socialist.
Sure.
Okay.
Every single Republican that I come into my chat all have vaccine harms, that they're talking about and stuff. So it's like, what is the the likelihood that all these people are, all have the vaccine harms done to them? It's like zero, right? So what's more likelihood is that people basically, after getting vaccinated, they hear all this fear mongering from people, they hear all this hysteria, and they start psychosomatically like getting nervous about it, and they start having panic attacks, and then they present to the emergency room and they have these things. And so it's like, no, I don't think that there are, among the 10 billion dosages that have been used in the mRNA lipid nanoparticle like vaccine delivery system, I don't think that there's something systemically wrong. I mean, you do realize that like we are using the same molecular biology delivery vehicle for like personal cancer treatments, right?
Listen, you
So
were
do you
talking
think
about something.
isn't that weird
No,
though?
you were
Isn't that
talking
weird?
about mass
Isn't that
hysteria. So
isn't it
you're
weird that nobody actually talks about that or even knows that mRNA and lipid nanoparticles have been used since 2015 and nobody had like post gene therapy syndrome, you know, in 2015 to 2020, but now all of a sudden after the disinformation, after the Russian bots, all that nonsense happens. Now all of a sudden people have this mass hysteria about mRNA and lipid nanoparticles. Don't you think that's a little weird?
Listen, it's a good question, and for me to answer that, I would have to go and look about what you're talking about, okay?
You should.
And of course, I will. And well, so this was the first time that this was used in a vaccine across, you know, a huge population as well. So I'm not sure if it's comparable, but I will go and look at it.
Yeah, it's been used. It is the standard of care for molecular biology in order to deliver mRNA and lipid nanoparticles. Basically, you're going to get, you're either going to, if you present to you know, with cancer at an early enough stage, you're basically going to get an adeno-associated virus, an AAV, which is a viral particle that's been evolved to you know, basically deliver gene therapy treatments, or you're going to get an mRNA lipid nanoparticle. So, you know, those are still the standard, and we still use those, you know, constantly. But it's just it's obvious to me that this is just like some kind of like anti-COVID, you know, vaccine misinformation stuff that's happening, and you don't see like a big one that people talk about is like myocarditis. And even myocarditis rates, which is the Myocarditis Foundation in the United States, says that 700% more cases of myocarditis with COVID-19 from natural COVID-19 than the vaccine itself. So it's you know, it's just hysteria.
So there have been like several studies about the link between long COVID and post-vax syndrome. Okay, so it's not only one study.
No, it's not. No, because people that have not been vaccinated have long COVID, so it doesn't make any sense. How can a piece of mRNA inside of your body replicate indefinitely?
Listen, there are people that are not vaccinated.
Tell me. How does that happen? How does a piece of mRNA indefinitely create mRNA from mRNA?
Well, actually, that is being under study right now, and I've seen things, and I didn't memorize everything right now.
It doesn't exist. mRNA, you can't create more mRNA. No, you can't. You can't make no. I can tell you, as a molecular biologist, this is my field. You can't make mRNA from mRNA. You don't get to. You don't. It doesn't make any sense. There's no mechanism for that. Like the reason why people use mRNA
is not necessarily the mechanism under the syndrome. You don't know about it.
Maybe.
Have you read the study?
Long COVID.
Have you read the study?
Long COVID is is where SARS-CoV-2 will infest an organ, okay, and it'll evade detection mechanisms, for example, because it infests that organ system, and it'll create SARS-CoV-2 inside your body and indefinitely just spew out spike proteins and viral particles from that organ. So for guys, guess what? Your testes could actually get infested with SARS-CoV-2. That's actually a really common place for SARS-CoV-2 to lie dormant and create it. So again, like, how would you have an indefinite production of spike protein that happens from an mRNA particle?
Well, this is not necessarily the mechanism happening after the vaccination necessarily.
How would it work then?
Well, there are studies. Do you want me to read you the study?
What would be the mechanism? How explain it to me? You don't need to read a study that you don't understand. Okay. You can just explain to me the mechanism that
you know, it's a good question. You know what I'm going to do? I like discussing with you because you're asking good questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the studies and try to understand how I can understand, and then I will come back with you and argue with what I understand. And if I'm wrong, and I want to learn how to argue about this. Is that okay?
That's fine. No, I'm totally okay with like people asking questions and people like saying that. I mean, I would love for.
Respectfully, I want to understand. I
Okay,
just
I mean,
want
I
you
would
to
love.
know that I'm not against vaccine at all.
Okay.
I just know that there are people that have developed some syndromes, and you can, of course, say that it's mass hysteria, but this is not what I believe. I've read studies that I don't remember all the details, but I can go back, try to understand them better so that I can memorize what it's really about, and I will come back and ask you questions.
I'll do you better.
About,
I'll do you better. You
is that
can you can join the Discord and you can link your studies there and we can talk about it and you know, go ahead. Like I totally invite you. I'm not like you know, there are genuine problems with this pseudo pseudouridine basically that was put into some of the it's the uracil inside of there was basically swapped for pseudouridine in order to try to make it a little bit more, you know, so that it wouldn't degrade as quickly, you know. So like people have like questions on like how to improve the pseudouridine, you know, the molecular biology of that. You know what I mean? And the problem is that like people have taken that with like, you know, people that are vaccinologists, that are molecular biologists, that are trying in good faith to try to make the best possible vaccine, have basically taken that and said, no, this is actually showing that all these vaccines are actually poisonous. So that's why I feel like there is a lot of like bad faith like questions like for this. But I'm not saying that you are. I'm not just saying that you are, but I'm saying that other people have taken this road, and that's why I feel like as a scientist, I have to say like this is what the conclusion is. We can talk about these edge cases and try to how to improve vaccines, but the conclusion is still vaccines are safe and effective, and we shouldn't like if you're healthy, you shouldn't worry about these types of things.
Okay, so what if you're unhealthy? Because I'm coaching people from a community that are not healthy to start with, and you can of course take the argument that they're hysterical or they're imagining thing or they're maybe like, you know, I don't know, you can say they're paranoid or whatever you want to say, that it's mental. But I've had many testimonials of people talking about issues post this vaccine. And I'm not saying this is all the vaccines. I'm not putting all vaccines on the same level, okay? I really agree that vaccines have saved humanity and many kids and many humans. And if tomorrow I get bit by a dog or I put my foot on a rusty nail, I will run to get a tetanus vaccine. So you get me? I'm not an anti-vax. Some people are accusing me of being that way, but this is not who I am. I was just wondering because I've had so many testimonials. Of course, it's inside a very niche community of people already suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, and several chronic or autoimmune diseases to start with. And they've noticed sometimes it's mild aggravation, sometimes it's pretty severe and really impairing and debilitating. So, of course, you can say it's subjective, but I listen. So, and then I find these studies, and I do not have all the notions in mind, but I was wondering how should people that are maybe have an impression of them being immunosuppressed or ill, but yet it is not necessarily all recognized yet by science. How do these people should behave?
I mean, it has been studied by science. It's been recognized, and the vaccines are safe and effective for COVID.
I'm talking about illnesses like
I know, and I'm telling you. So I'm telling you that a lot of times, if someone has like a disease where they can't take a live attenuated vaccine, for example, then that is usually the mechanism where your physician will say, okay, you should avoid live attenuated vaccines. But in that case, guess what? The mRNA, lipid nanoparticle vaccines aren't live attenuated, so they're actually safe. So again, like, I would be wary of any physician that is telling people that like you should avoid these things, that there's no benefit to it, because that physician obviously doesn't understand what public health is. They don't understand virology. They don't understand viral evolution. They don't understand pandemics. They don't understand community spread. There's a huge host of problems, not taking that seriously. And I think that those physicians are doing harm, genuinely. People that are,
But you know how things are researched, right? You know, like that when we do research, not we, I'm not the one doing it, of course, but you know, like the principles of shrinkage, you know how some results are removed from like the final conclusions because there's too much discrepancy between the
who
results.
do you think does who does the research on these how are the studies done?
Well, you explain to me. You know more than me.
I mean, I can tell
I'm
you what
just
it
talking
is, but
about the
I'm saying,
concept of
okay.
shrinkage.
Okay, so it's incorrectly thought that Pfizer and like Moderna are doing their own tests. Basically, during the
I'm not
FDA
saying that they
trials.
are. These studies are done in labs that are usually in universities or
Yeah,
research centers.
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
saying that they're affiliated. That's
Okay,
not what I'm
exactly.
saying.
I know, and exactly, and that's the point is that so then what would the incentive be for these research universities in order to hide results if they're
I'm
not
not saying
connected to
they're
the?
hiding results. This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in order for these studies to be efficient, I mean, if you study all the individual biology of all the people that have, some different results or some different presentation, it's a known fact that shrinkage is used as a concept in studies, in all studies. It's a known fact. It is used.
What do you mean by shrinkage? What are you talking about?
Well, there are results, or there are results that are like too far apart from a certain. Oh,
Go
oh,
ahead.
I lost
You're
you.
good. You're good. Yeah,
What
I'm here.
happened?
I'm here. I'm here. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, um,
Sorry, I fixed something.
I don't have the right words.
It's
I'm
okay.
saying okay.
I mean, so basically,
So
I mean, but the
there's a
point,
me.
if
Mhm.
it's not studied, okay. But the thing is that let's say there is a nefarious. Oh, thank you for the crown thing.
Mhm.
Thank you, evil. Let's say that there's a nefarious scientist. Okay, the worst
Okay.
possible outcome that could happen: a nefarious scientist that wants to push an ideology and doesn't care about scientific scrutiny, and wants to push a narrative. Okay, but like that doesn't happen like in a vacuum. There are other studies, there are other scientists, there are other countries that are all looking at this. So like, for example, like Denmark, like this is a big thing that people talk about with pharmaceutical companies and this the scrupulous nature of capitalism in healthcare, which I'm a complete critic of, and I don't agree with it at all. But the fact of the
Mhm.
matter is that like the vaccines that were developed in universities and research institutions, then they get licensed out by these pharmaceutical companies because they don't, like, universities don't have the capability in order to like biomanufacture like all these vaccines. So that's why these the vaccines get bought by the licenses, get bought by the Pfizers and Modernas of the world. So like the point is that other research institutions are doing their due diligence in order to check and make sure that like that is what it is. Like and there is some competition that happens between like Moderna and Pfizer, for example. So like the idea of like Moderna having, all these secret ingredients inside of their vaccines. And it's like, well, who the number one opponent of that would be? The number one person, number one group that would like call BS on Moderna having like graphene sheets in their vaccines. The number
But
one.
this is not what I'm talking about. This is not what I'm talking about. I agree with what you're saying. That part, I understand that.
Okay.
I don't think, overall, of course, if there weren't like a serious if there weren't serious studies behind this and there wouldn't be a real efficiency behind this, of course it wouldn't work. I understand that. I'm talking about shrinkage in medical studies, you know? So I'm just going to read it here because I'm not as good as what I can read. So shrinkage in medical studies refers to a statistical phenomenon where extreme estimated effects like treatment benefits or risk factor associations are pulled towards a more moderate or average value. Okay? So, so basically, by removing these extreme effects, people that might have some really bad effects in studies are, well, those results are removed from the final conclusions, even though I know that studies will still mention that there is this methodology employed into studies, right?
So do you think that outliers should be included on studies?
But I'm not saying that for a study that wants to evaluate medium efficiency, they should include the outliers. But just the fact that you call them outliers, it's kind of a little bit dehumanizing, though.
No, it's not.
It's like
no, it's not. It's because this is actually the exact reason why I don't work with humans as a scientist. Humans are really bad science subjects. They're really bad. They don't show up to all the all their treatments. They have the things happen. They stop showing up into these studies.
Not necessarily. This is not only about people not showing up. This is also people having different conditions or different biological individuality, different genetics, different illnesses to start with.
So
are you saying that these people should be marginalized to a point where we shouldn't study about them and we just call them outliers and they don't matter? And so if something happens to them, they're just like collateral damage and they don't really
you're
matter?
misinterpreting what an outlier is largely.
I don't know. I want you to explain to me what it means.
Yep, I'd love to. So I do a lot of human subject research. I do research in orthopedics. A lot of orthopedic research is clinical research. You have to be very delicate with your treatment of outliers, because if somebody really did have, like a genuinely poor outcome, that's something that you want to include because you want to make sure that you do capture those people, right? So outliers aren't routinely removed if it's just like, oh, this person is, 2 standard deviations below the mean. You have to kind of investigate that further. Is this, somebody who legitimately did very poorly, or is there some sort of, other anomaly going on here that would really kind of nullify these results, and rather than kind of be a truer representation of the data, it really kind of skews the data and detracts from the truthfulness and the validity of the data. For example, there are a lot of like scoring measures that are used in orthopedics, and some of them can be pretty unintuitive to fill out. An example of which is something called the IHOT. It's the International Hip Outcome Tool. And, for everything on the IHOT, what you would kind of anticipate the sort of good response to be and the bad response to be, it's inverted for all of them. And so there are countless people who fill out the IHOT and they accidentally do it in reverse, where like a 100 would be no pain and a 0 would be maximum pain, things like that. Because that's how they wanted to configure it, so that 100 be a really good score and 0 would be a really bad score. But it's unintuitive and it's dissimilar to the rest of the kind of measures that we use. And so people would routinely fill it out incorrectly. And so you'd have all of these individuals where all of their other scores are, a 90, 90, 90, 100, and their IHOT is like a 10. And then you have to say, okay, what are the chances that they did horribly on the IHOT when the IHOT asks very similar questions to all of these other measures, but really, really well on these other measures? Or, this IHOT score is anomalous. It's not a true representation of kind of their hip pain and function. And so in those cases, you might remove those outliers so that you have a truer representation of your data, because you can look at that patient and understand that it's an anomalous score. It's not real. And so like that, the kind of thing that if you're being responsible with your data, you would do in terms of like removing outliers, because you want to make sure that your data best represents, kind of the real
majority.
average among your patients.
Yes, the thing is, a person is not an average. I understand what you're saying, and I understand why this is done. I'm not saying it's not logical. It's absolutely logical that studies work this way. The problem is that the outliers, or call it as you may, are still marginalized in studies, because if you remove them from the general result, then their own reactivity, sensitivity, or response to whatever pharmaceutical, vaccine, whatever it is, remedy, call it whatever you may, it can be anything. It's not just vaccine.
No, so I'm saying you don't routinely remove people just because they did poorly. You remove people if their responses are anomalous, because like the pattern doesn't fit, right? That's an example. The one that I just gave you is an example of, for that particular measure, the pattern not fitting.
Good.
So it's clear that score isn't a good representation. But if somebody, did poorly across the board, everybody else is reporting, hundreds in all their scores, and then one person just reported 10 across the board, then it's like, oh, damn, that person did poorly. You're not going to remove that outlier.
No, it does. Well, okay, so that's fair. That's a fair argument. So you don't remove it, but then still, there's going to be an average that's going to go towards, the positive results, right? And so you're going to think that, okay, despite this person responding really poorly, you're going to say, as an average, this medication is good, is positive, so it's efficient. Let's put it out there, right? Which is fine, which is very logical nonetheless, right?
That's how statistics work, yeah.
Yes, but then in the world, like in the real world, there are going to be maybe some people that are going to react really badly to this.
Yep.
Yeah, and not necessarily all of them will be, how can you say this, noticed in advance for this. Not everybody might know what it is that might cause the issue, especially if studies don't point out exactly who should be worried about this, right?
There's a huge echo now.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can also hear myself.
So,
but
so
like
these,
kind of
these
just
people, it's okay. Oh,
yeah. I mean, like I want to respond to that. Like,
okay.
Yeah, like that's just how life works.
I understand,
like,
but
if you have
I
something
understand.
like let's work with the counterfactual for a second. So let's say, you have this group of 100 people, and 95 are really benefited by a particular drug, and 5 do poorly. Right,
Yeah.
5 have some adverse effect. One, you're going to report that. Like, you're going to report the number of people who have complications. Right, in orthopedics, you report the complication rate, something that's routinely reported. You report the the reoperation rate. You report the revision rate. You report the people who did poorly as well, even if the majority do well. So, like, it's not like you're ignoring these people, but if you're reporting like kind of the aggregate result of this, of a given procedure or something like that, or a given drug, you need to know how it's going to affect, kind of the population writ large. And you still want to make sure that people are aware of people who, have adverse outcomes and do poorly, or have some sort of, side effect. But that doesn't detract from the fact that if you're giving this to, instead of 100 people, 1 million people, well, 950,000 are going to really benefit from it. And so if we're operating with the counterfactual for a second, and you say, okay, well, out of that 100, 5 people did poorly, and so we shouldn't give this drug out to people because those 5 people did poorly, and we want to at all costs avoid people being adversely affected by this drug. Well, then what you've done is you've deprived those 95 people of the potential benefit of the drug. So like you're giving out some hypertension medication, some blood pressure medication, right? And you have 5% of people who, do poorly and they have an adverse effect, but you've got 95% who are really benefited. It brings down their blood pressure 20 systolic, like 20 points systolic. And so like that's going to save them from heart attacks and strokes and those kinds of things down the line. So, you're potentially avoiding hundreds of thousands of strokes and heart attacks and premature, unaliving by giving this drug to people. But you don't do it because 5% of people, have have an anaphylactic reaction or something like that. So like if you're looking at it in the reverse, you're not giving this drug because you're scared of those people having a bad reaction. Well, now you've condemned the people who would have benefited
this is
to
not
the
my
strokes and the heart
Oh my
attacks.
God. Okay, this is not my purpose. My purpose is actually not to scare. My purpose is to know exactly why some people might be vulnerable to some drugs or some pharmacological remedy or vaccines. My goal is to make sure that science is really looking at the small subgroups of people that might react really negatively and knowing maybe why, so that these cases may be preventable in the future. Because if we know and these cases are controlled, I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody. What I mean by that is that I agree that vaccines are, for a majority of people, beneficial. The thing is that even if it's 1%, and I know it's even less than that, so this is not me saying it's 1%, but let's just keep it simple. Even if it's like a person in 1,000 or in 1,000,000, but the person that is hurt is really hurt, and it represents her whole life. And even if it's a minority, she still has a right to live and to have, to enjoy life, right? So what if we knew enough about these individualities to prevent these effects, instead of constantly opposing the majority as being, oh, look, the majority is well, so it's not that bad because, it's just a small percentage. But these are people we're talking about. It's people, and it's their entire life. When it's hurt, it's hurt. And I've seen people, I know it's a minority, I know, but I've seen people having their lives completely, torn down by things like this. And it's a minority, again. And I don't see that it's an hysterical response. I don't see that it's paranoia. There are symptoms involved. You can judge that it's mental as much as you want, but I listen, and I've seen, read many testimonials. So I'm just trying to understand how can this be preventable, and not to oppose the majority to the minority, even if it's very little.
You're like what this is showing that you just didn't really look into it. So like I just looked up like what populations were negatively affected by the COVID vaccine, right? Like second search result is from the Canadian government. Adverse event following immunization reports by age and sex. Age differences. The rate of adverse events reported was highest among the 40 to 49 year age group, followed by those in the 30 to 39 year age group. The rate of adverse event reports was lowest in the 5 to 11 year age group. Sex differences. Overall, most adverse event reports were from females. The reporting rate for females was 75.9 reports per 100,000 doses administered, compared to 31.5 per 100,000 doses administered for males. So like they do these studies, and the fact that you think that like they're not looking into this and they're not looking into the populations at risk,
not looking into this
just means that you're not looking for that data.
Well, I did find studies that corroborate the syndromes that I've encountered in some people. And I was talking about wait, let me find it. The post-COVID-19 vaccination syndrome. and that it creates actually even something called like CIRS that is usually associated with
What is that?
It's chronic inflammatory response syndrome.
Okay.
I honestly, I just want to reiterate that I am pro-vaccine. I just want to make sure that some people that are vulnerable have help, because
Okay, so based on your in-depth research, what populations are vulnerable?
Well,
teach us. It sounds like you're an expert on this.
Oh my God, this again, this is kind of mansplaining. I don't like this. I just want to know.
Mansplaining? I didn't explain anything. I asked you to teach us.
I don't want to teach you. This is not what I want to do. I want to understand how it works.
I have a 65% female audience, so it's actually you're talking to women here, so it's all good.
Okay. So I've met a lot of people in the community that suffers from MECFS, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, and chronic fatigue syndrome, that have been actually, most of them have been exposed to moldy environments for a variable period of time, and most of them also have Lyme disease to start with. So you're going to say, oh, well, maybe it's just the disease that is already there that is the problem. And I might, it's logical, but I've heard a lot of people talk about severe aggravation. Sometimes it's just mild, sometimes it's moderate, sometimes it's severe aggravation after the vaccine. Okay, so I just want to understand what is happening to them.
Hey, Sonya. I wanted to come up and just address something that perhaps that you might not be aware of, but it could absolutely explain some of what you are maybe seeing in real world. So we know that the SARS-CoV-2 virus, that's the virus responsible for a COVID-19 infection, we know that up to 60% of cases can have no symptoms. So the immune system is what generates symptoms. And this virus is really good at kind of bypassing it early on in the early stages of infection. So often, I think what we are seeing is individuals are aware that they're getting vaccinated, but they're unaware that they are getting infected. And then they present with long COVID symptoms, but they're blaming it on the vaccine that they were aware of receiving rather than an infection that they were not aware of having.
Mm-hmm.
I find it too convenient. I understand that. And,
it's a pandemic.
It's probably,
what are you talking about? It's a pandemic.
I know.
That's a pandemic that's in community spread still. So the idea of like it's convenient that it's around, that's the whole reason. It's a pandemic.
Please don't scream. Please don't scream. I'm not screaming. I'm very calm. I understand that maybe some cases could be explained by that, but I have difficulty thinking that it's that, because some symptoms are really all over the top, like they're so over the top and not at all presenting as symptoms of COVID-19, actually.
Well, that's because COVID, so when we refer to COVID-19, that is the respiratory infection, okay? But the virus binds to what's called our ACE2 receptors, and those receptors line all of our blood vessels, and our blood vessels are everywhere in our body. I mean, everywhere. So often it is able to go into the lungs, and maybe you will not have symptoms early in the infection because of how it's able to kind of bypass the immune system early on, but then travel a little bit deeper into the body, into the brain. We see that it can persist in the brain for up to 8 months, they've seen. In the gut, the GI tract, they've seen, I think, 4 years. They have evidence of that. Even the new variant that's circulating currently, the BA.3.2, the cicada that's currently getting a little bit of news, that stemmed from a BA.3 infection that was chronic, that somebody had received. They got infected in early 2022, remained infected that entire time, and then were able to transmit it again in, I want to say, late 2025, and now it's starting to circulate. So it's able to stay and infect, like really affect all the organ systems in our body. So I know that we often think of COVID-19 as a respiratory disease, but it really impacts the entire body.
I understand that this is like the phenomenon of long COVID, and I know that it could go very far. It affects organs. It can create like all sorts of syndromes, inflammation. I know it can stay in the gut. I also know it can also impair mitochondrial function. I know because I've had to go through a lot of this, and so I know about this. I'm talking about people that were in remission, they were doing well, and it was just on the day of the vaccine or the day after, their life completely turned around and never got better even after years. I'm talking about this. So was it an infection, a concomitant infection that happened coincidentally? Maybe in some cases. I'm not sure that it would be scientific to presuppose that it's the case in all cases either, without studies, right?
We do have a lot of studies though on it, and we know that long COVID can present in really any variety, whether you have a severe COVID-19
Yes, I
infection
know that.
or
I know that. I just
asymptomatic.
said that I believe that, and I've
Okay.
gone through it myself, and I've seen it in others as well. I'm not talking about that.
Sorry, my son entered the room. No, and I get what you're saying with that, but something else that is, as I stated earlier, the immune system is what generates a lot of symptoms often, and this virus is good at exhausting what's called our T cells, so they kind of stop fighting for a little bit, and then sometimes when an individual would get vaccinated, it would bump up that immune response again, so that it is reacting to an already present virus. It is the virus that is causing the issue, not the vaccine.
Okay, so you're saying that, are you saying necessarily the virus of the COVID itself, or could it be like the activation of a previous, the presence of EBV, which is something that has been also studied in the case of long COVID?
We have seen a lot of activation with reactivation of Epstein-Barr virus, as well as herpes simplex, a number of viruses, because as I stated earlier, this virus exhausts what's specifically our CD8 T cells, CD8 positive T cells. And those are the cells that are responsible for killing or controlling cells that have been compromised, whether that be cancer cells or virally infected cells like EBV infected cells. So if those cells become exhausted, what's going to happen? We'll see EBV reactivate. And we're seeing that across the board. And we're also seeing shingles, the cases of shingles are rising.
I agree. I've seen that as well. And not only that, maybe other types of microbes can be involved as well, right?
Well, that goes into a bit of a different branch of the immune system, but specifically with viruses infect cells. And so the T cells are the ones that are responsible for controlling our own self cells.
Okay, so, that's good. Thank you for explaining that.
If I could just mention a couple things. So it sounds like a lot of what you were talking about with regard to this post-vaccination syndrome. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would bet that a lot of it, comes from this Breaking the Silence Recognizing Post-Vaccination Syndrome article published last year.
I've actually found many more than just that one. So, yeah, but not many more. But there are quite a few that I found about it.
Yeah. So this actually goes back to a point that I was talking about with Dr. Greg earlier about people who are looking at studies and citing studies who may not have a scientific background and the kind of experience to discern what may be legitimate from what may not be. So looking at this Breaking the Silence article, they compare this post-vaccination syndrome to this myalgic encephalomyelopathy or encephalomyelitis / chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, small fiber neuropathy, which small fiber neuropathy is definitely real. You can like do a biopsy and find small fiber neuropathy. But
I know about that.
and like mast cell activation syndrome.
Yes.
So like myalgic encephalomyelitis / chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, mast cell activation syndrome. These are all controversial diagnoses in and of themselves.
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
I said these are all controversial diagnoses in and of themselves, with like genuine debate among the medical community about whether these are, like organic illnesses or whether they are like somatization, syndromes, where like, the symptoms are very real for sure, but they may not have as much of an organic cause as, like kind of a psychological etiology, right? So it's comparing them to these already very amorphous sort of controversial conditions. And then it tries to get into the pathophysiology, right? It's got this chart where it's citing, interleukins, C-reactive protein, these markers of inflammation, EGFR, serum urea, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm looking at the articles that it's citing for the post-COVID vaccination syndrome, right? It cites 3 different articles. One isn't even an article, it's a preprint that's available in Europe PMC, but it doesn't cite the actual article if the article was ever published. And then the 2 other articles that it cites are published in the journal Vaccines, which is an MDPI journal, and MDPI is known to be an incredibly predatory publisher that is willing to publish articles without proper peer review. And this article itself is published in this Helion journal, which, what a bizarre name for a journal. And looking it up, it is also a very high volume journal that has been shown to lack, a very rigorous peer review process. And so when you kind of look at all of that stuff in totality, it sounds like people who are trying to kind of make a name for themselves, push back against the scientific consensus, kind of be sort of, countercurrent, right? And publishing these things in these, relatively disreputable journals, just because they know that that's where they can get it published, right? Not in these larger, more reputable journals. And it's compared to these other conditions that are debatable in and of themselves.
Dude, you know what's so crazy is that this was onto that. This was because Iwasaki did, which is one of the main. She's incredible talking about the best researchers in long COVID, and she put out this preprint. I remember it was February 2025, right? Just as the Trump administration comes in, and everyone's thinking like, dude, why is she doing this? Like, what is the why is she going into this like COVID vaccination BS when she's such a like a credible researcher? You know what I mean? And she, as soon as she does this, she gets like into these, ACIP panels, and she's in the COVID thing. And bro, exactly what you're talking about. Iwasaki, one of the most prominent researchers in the world, that preprint that she got out, never been peer reviewed, never actually released. Like any journal in the world would publish Iwasaki. They would love to, but the fact is that other people in the field are looking at this preprint, the immunological and antigenic signatures associated with the chronic illnesses after COVID-19 vaccination, and are saying, this is all BS. This is all political that you did this, and we don't agree with any of it. And it can't even get published, man. More than a year and 2 months. One of the most preeminent, premier vaccinologists in the world can't get a publication based off of that. Like that should tell you something. That should tell you something.
I remember that paper coming out because one of the critiques, if I recall, was that it wasn't because our antibodies can wane within anywhere from 3 to 9 months. It wasn't able to account whether or not these individuals ever were infected or not.
Yeah.
So they could be blaming things on vaccine when again it could actually be the virus causing these issues, and likely is.
Yeah,
I think to the debate doctor, are you aware of the extreme low funding there is for research for MECFS? Are you aware of that?
Yes,
And
there
how
is.
unjust it is?
Yes, it is. It is absolutely underfunded research. I would
Since
agree
it's
with that.
underfunded, how can you know about what's really going on and just dismiss it ahead?
I didn't dismiss it out of hand. I said that it's a
work
controversial condition.
in about 5 minutes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
But I understand that it's controversial. Okay, I understand. But it's controversial just like many illnesses were controversial in the past. And I know it's an easy argument to make.
No.
But it's a serious one nonetheless.
You're Sonya, you are being played by these Trump Republicans, and they're using. Listen. I know you're not a Republican. Just listen to me. It doesn't matter what you are. I don't care if you're green. It doesn't matter. You're getting played. They're using your compassion. Yes, you are. They're using your compassion against you, and they are using you. And I know. And then you should hate even more that you're getting played by him. You're getting played by the Maha people. You're getting played by the Maha people. You're getting played by the Trump administration on this one. I'm sorry, but you are. You're being
against MAGA and I am against
then you should be but I'm telling you that you are feeding into their
I don't
stuff.
want to feed it.
You are
listen
and they
to
are
the
feigning
nuance.
that this is happening, and
you're
biting into it.
I'm pro-vaccine.
I know it doesn't matter, but I'm telling you that they are feigning. They're concern trolling basically, and you're falling for it.
I don't care about Maha or MAGA.
Well, you're buying into their articles. You're buying and you're promoting it.
Not.
Yes, you are right now. That's what this is. That's what this is.
No.
It is.
No, they don't have arguments most of the time.
Yes, they are.
They're
trying to push this whole nonsense, this post-COVID-19 vaccine syndrome. They are.
This is no.
Yes,
I don't agree with
they
that.
are. They're pushing this because they're anti-vaccine, and they're trying to sow discord within the vaccine research community, and they're trying to push this stuff.
This is not why I'm doing this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's actually happening. I'm not reaching at all. I'm telling you exactly what's happening.
You are labeling me just because
I'm not labeling you anything. I'm not labeling you at all.
No.
I don't care what you label yourself as. I'm telling you that you're being played. That's what it is.
I'm not. Well, that is very condescending of you to say that to me.
I'm giving you tough love. I'm telling you what it is. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that you're offended, but that's just what it is. I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, so I could talk about how McKinsey and Moderna and Pfizer are connected. What is your response to that? You think it's about me being
to pharmaceutical companies? The what?
Do you know that McKinsey? You know that Moderna and Pfizer are McKinsey clients?
McKinsey, like the consulting firm?
Look it up. Okay.
Wait, are you talking about the consulting firm?
Yes.
Okay.
McKinsey. Are you aware what McKinsey is?
What do you think is a consulting firm going to sit there and puppeteer all these $1 billion corporations?
Lots of large companies are consulting firms for various things.
There was a huge conflict of interest in there. Anyways, I just want to say, okay, that's
that didn't
funny.
land.
That's
that
funny
did not
for
land.
you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, listen, you're labeling me, and I've been super polite, and I'm not gaslighting you. Why are you gaslighting me?
I'm telling you the political realities of what's happening and where this is coming from, and I'm letting the fact that karaoke
I am against Maha. I am against the war. I am against the war in Iran. I am against all wars.
Okay.
I am against Israel.
That's great.
I am against Do
Okay.
you understand me?
No,
I like
don't
science.
understand. I don't understand how someone that I think that your compassion is being used against you, and you're being played like this. But I'm willing to answer your questions. You can still put your stuff in the Discord, and we can talk about each of them. But I'm telling you what the reality is that this is misinformation that's being pushed, and you are
But
trying to
MECFS is
you're using
underfunded.
look at they're exploiting your compassion for marginalized communities, and you're trying to look out for the vaccine injured, when in reality you should be looking at the marginalized people that are being misinformed and harmed and injured by vaccine misinformation. That's what your main point is, and you're not listening to that.
I'm sad about that too. I understand. I'm sad about that too, but that is why I'm asking these questions, because if we have more data about what could hurt the minority of people, maybe we can be more systematic in avoiding injuries. And I know you're not agreeing, but just listen to me just to the end of this. If we know more and we're able to prevent, well, we're going to gain more credibility again, and then people won't be as how you say that in English?
But the thing is, like,
Avoidant
none
or
of this
scared?
Maiden, Debate Doc, me, we all want more information. We're pro science, or that is not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about, and the problem that the United States is having, is sowing misinformation, sowing science denial. That is what's actually happening. And I talked to all these people, these Republicans that were like, I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm just against this vaccine.
I'm not Republican.
I'm not saying that you are. You're falling on that sword yourself. Okay. I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying, as my personal experience, I have been debating Republicans for 6 years on this. And they said, I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm against this vaccine. And then guess what? Now we have
I'm
measles
not against
outbreak.
this vaccine either.
I know, but listen, I don't understand why you keep falling on swords and saying that you're not Republican, but then falling on these swords. Like we have vaccination rates that are plummeting in the United States that are measles, mumps, rubella. We have whooping cough outbreak that's happening right now. We have measles outbreaks going on right now. So obviously the whole point is that their whole point wasn't making the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine better. Their point was sowing discord in vaccines in general, and that's what's happening, and that's what they're doing.
Okay, so people are saying that.
And by the way, your science credibility argument is completely wrong, because Democrats and independents, science has not been discredited amongst those groups. The only group that actually has less trust in science is Republicans in the United States. So again, there is no distrust in science amongst the United States and amongst Democrats and independents.
Listen, I love science. I read studies all the time. I might interpret it really bad because I'm not a scientist like you, and I do agree that I have a lot to learn. Okay. I'm just saying. Okay, so can you still agree that MECFS is wildly underfunded?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know about underfunding, because I just looked it up. It was myalgic encephalomyelitis was first diagnosed, like that specific terminology. It was first used in 1956, chronic fatigue syndrome in like 1988. And there's been, a plethora of research on it since that time. And, like I was just looking through the history of it briefly, and, like it's just this, like time after time, same pattern. People proposed that it was related to, because there are these outbreaks, it's related to this, condition, like, chronic EBV infection. And then somebody else debunks it. They say, oh no, it's not chronic EBV. And then it's, human T-cell leukemia virus, HTLV2, right?
It's much more complex.
And then people debunk it and they say, oh no, it's not actually that. I don't know why you're interrupting me. And then they say, no, it's not HTLV2, right? And so it's this like, kind of merry-go-round of like throwing out this, potential etiology, and then that potential etiology getting debunked, and throwing it out this over and over and over again, which is, again, why I said it's kind of a controversial thing.
Well,
I don't know if it's underfunded, because it seems like there has been a lot of research into it.
Historically, the funding has been very low compared to other illnesses. So I'm sorry, but I could research it more. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I've learned. So,
I mean, what do you want a commensurate level of funding with? Do you want a commensurate level of funding with,
well, I mean, if it's
like,
not researched enough, maybe we don't know enough
cancer?
about it yet. And if we don't still have many markers really associated with it yet, it's because research is not advanced enough on this.
Well,
And
you're drawing this conclusion, right? You're saying we don't have definitive markers, we don't have a
no, I
definitive
mean,
organic cause, right?
well,
And so no. And so
studies.
in your head, I don't again. So and in your head that means, oh, there's not enough research funding, we haven't done enough research. Can you think of another potential reason for there not
Of
being
course I can.
a definitive etiology found?
Thank you for calling me stupid. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. It's a complex illness. It can be polysystemic, and it can be from different causes, creating, a similar cascade of symptoms, and it doesn't mean that everybody's going to have the same markers. And
or
it
could
doesn't
it be
mean either.
Could it be related to something like somatic?
It also didn't mean it also could mean that the markers haven't been found yet, or they haven't done the studies that highlight what's really happening.
Or you still didn't say it. Or
and you think,
or it's related to something like somatic symptom disorder.
I know that you want to go that it's a somatizing, or how you call it, psychological syndrome or something. I don't know.
How can that not be? How can that not even be on your radar of things that could possibly be it?
I'm not saying it cannot be part of the picture. Okay, it's just that this is.
You don't think that you don't think that humans are manipulatable, like through marketing?
Listen, this is what I've been doing for years now, trying to help people with the syndrome. So I know enough, and I could talk for years about it.
I don't understand. That's such a weird niche.
It doesn't matter anymore. I understand where you guys stand, and that you're not open to understanding something a little bit more advanced about this, because there are experiences that have not yet been studied by science. Okay, so
I'm completely open to it. It sounds like you're closed off to other possibilities.
Thank you very much for this discussion that is going nowhere, clearly, and you guys are superior and smarter than me. Thank you so much for thank you so much for humoring an idiotic girl.
Just let Maiden ask a question. Just let Maiden ask a question.
I had just two quick questions, actually. The first is what website are you using to get some of this information? But second thing I want to address is I know individuals with MECFS, so I don't discredit that. Okay, what I am saying is that by and large, these individuals are going to benefit more from receiving a vaccine, and it is very unlikely that it is the vaccine causing these illnesses. We have seen with the research that we do have that there is likely an immunological trigger with MECFS, and the immune system is so complex, that there really is. It is not possible in many ways to determine what or project how every single individual is going to respond, because when the immune system can not behave appropriately, that's up in the air. We don't know how that's going to look. So it's complicated in that regard. Yes, research is needed. But I think that a lot of the information that we are seeing with the vaccine misinformation is doing a disservice to individuals with chronic illnesses, because they're not getting vaccinated, and then they're more vulnerable to infection, which is making them often progressing their MECFS or developing other conditions that coincide with that.
Okay, Maiden. I'm not saying that all people with MECFS are going to suffer from the vaccine, and I've seen some benefiting from it. This is not what I'm saying. Is that for those that have reacted or report to have reacted, because of course you can suppose that it can be just anything and it's actually another infection or actually COVID. you can say whatever you want. I listen to what people report, and I work with people that seem very smart and alert. So not everybody is, but I mean, I work with people that are smart and alert in general, and they describe their symptomatology very well, very I don't have the words. As I'm saying, I'm a French Canadian, so sorry, I don't have all the best words here, but I work with people that, you know, suffer and tell me their story, and I'm no one to dismiss, because you know what? I have myself, and I know this is anecdotal and it should never be personal, I understand, but you know, I cannot dismiss my own very extensive experience of being dismissed and then finding the real problems and getting better with the right cure. And I've seen this over and over. I've read hundreds and thousands of testimonials now in the last 12 years that I've been in this community, reading about all the possible causes for this illness. And there are so many. I've made like quite an extensive list of things that can influence this illness. And when people remove slowly the causes and repair the terrain, they get better. Okay, so this is
terrain
not,
theory.
Science is not on board
There
yet.
it is.
It doesn't
There
mean,
it is.
Okay.
Your
So
terrain
like
theory
here's
person. You don't believe in microbiology?
here's the thing. Like here's
Oh
so
my
like the reason I've been
God.
pushing back isn't because
And
I
it
like
is about
definitively.
microbiology as
Hey,
well, you know, it's not
so
only,
so the reason I've been pushing
listen,
back so much against you. No, dude, you just spoke for
it's
like 5
okay.
minutes. The reason I've been pushing back so much is not because I out of hand dismiss MECFS or any of these other things. It's because you came into this conversation with a preconceived conclusion, and you weren't asking questions.
I
You were
was
trying to
asking,
sow
I'm
seeds of
still,
doubt, right? And trying to, you
no, I
know,
want to understand for real. It's sincere.
backhandedly try to convince us
No, I don't want to
of,
convince
you know,
anybody.
these
I
things, right?
actually don't
So
care.
like, dude, if you so like I'm coming at this with an open mind, trying to look at the evidence and be evidence guided in any conclusions I might draw, or you know, allowing the evidence to guide me in a direction for further research. But everything that you've said has demonstrated that you firmly believe, and your mind cannot be changed, that MECFS is real. It's got these, you know, various, you know, multitude of organic causes. This post-COVID vaccination syndrome thing is real, and it needs to be researched further. I mean, laughably, at the beginning of that article, it said that one of the reasons for like bringing attention to this was for more compensation for the victims. They straight up said, we want these people to get paid, right? Like that's unbelievable at the beginning of a research article. But I'm coming at this with an open mind, saying, okay, where's the evidence, and where's the evidence going to guide, you know, like me and my thinking, and the larger scientific community. But you know, you just told us
I don't,
about your firm beliefs in this stuff, and how it's guided not by the science, not by the evidence, but by, you know, all of this anecdotal evidence that you've gathered over the past 12 years, in which you become further and further and further entrenched
this is more
in
than
this
12
mindset
years.
and this
It's
and this
more than
belief
12 years.
system.
The 12 years is about reading other people's experience. But my own
It's all
experience is
anecdotal.
about, I
Everything
know
you've
it's
given is
anecdotal.
anecdotal.
I'm very aware. And I said it prior to my argument, that I know that it's anecdotal, and I know it. I understand.
So after you say, I know it's anecdotal, why should we listen to a single other thing you say?
It doesn't mean, okay, but it's not my own anecdote, and it's not one or two people. These are like, I've read, honestly, hundreds and even thousands of testimonials, which, you know, and I know that if it's not validated by science, you're still going to call it anecdotal. But when do we draw the line between a simple anecdote and thousands of testimonials?
When it's investigated methodically and rigorously,
And
right?
what if it's not,
When
we feel that it's not enough done for now? This is what we feel.
when people have randomly selected a group, right? And they've had a research question, and they have, you know, and they have a list of, you know, criteria that they're going to look for, a list of things they're going to investigate. they have some sort of intervention in mind with, planned outcomes, primary and secondary, and, well thought out meticulous methods for collecting data related to those outcomes. That's when you trust it. When you have self-selected, right, a whole population of people who purports to have, this condition and these symptoms, and they're postulating that it may be related to X, Y, or Z, and they've done these non-methodical things to try to quote unquote cure them of this condition, and you've just eaten it all up and only looked at that and none of the contravening evidence, right? That's why it's not scientific, and that's why it shouldn't be believed.
Yep.
So if a community of people, still come with a diagnosis and a history that is similar, and they come together and they discuss, and they're all pretty much almost all dismissed or partially dismissed, or have some doctors or some microbiologists giving some insight on parts of their condition, and that we put all of this together to understand what is happening, that it still have some validity at some point, especially if a lot of people come together to get better.
No, you should go look on like some of these like there's some subreddits for like,
let's say
for like various like eating disorders and like body dysmorphia and stuff like that. And there's some like really or like drug communities. I know it's not what you're talking about. This is an example. And there's some like drug related communities on Reddit and stuff like that. And some of them are trying to offer legitimate evidence backed information, but some of them are these little cesspits where these people convince one another that like, oh, you're right, you're not skinny enough. Like, here are some strategies that I've done, that I've used to make it, easier for myself to purge, things like that. These like really toxic communities where they're convincing one another of like conditions they have and, things that they've tried. And
this is a very superficial comparison to what MECFS does to people. I'm sorry, I'm not saying
that like the conditions are related. I'm saying that like if you're looking in a community where all of these people are hyping each other up, then it's not surprising to me that you may, in this particular community, find a bunch of people sharing the same stories and very similar anecdotes.
Oh my God, that is like.
And I'm not saying that this is the only explanation for it, but you're discounting it as a possible explanation. Like, you're not approaching this methodically. That's what I'm saying. Not approaching it methodically.
Wait a minute. You decided that it's the only explanation. You decided that it's the only explanation, but what I'm telling you is that
I explicitly said I didn't.
Oh, okay. You're not. Okay. Anyways, this really sounds to me like medical gaslighting for you to say that we're just getting together and inventing symptoms.
I said that's a possible explanation that you are discounting. You're discounting possible explanations, not me. It could all be totally real.
Listen, I'm not saying that maybe a subset of people are not suffering from this type of delusion. It might be. Okay. It can be, but I've seen also people treat really serious, parts of the illness or factors of the illness, and then a lot of the symptoms resolved. Some people had to treat more than one. Some people had to treat several conditions till they got really better. And I've seen this, and this is not like an invention. It was not prayer. It was not like just belief. So
here's the thing. You're treating all of these as totally legitimate and valid when it may be, right? They may all be totally legitimate and valid, and some proportion of them may be somaticization egged on by a community all sharing similar stories. Like, you don't know because it hasn't been rigorously studied, and it's all anecdotal, and that's what you're basing your entire belief system off of, and that's what I am critiquing.
Okay, so for you it's all belief, but so experience is belief? Are you saying that experience is belief? I'm not religious, by the way. I'm a perfect humanist, atheist, socialist. I'm not Republican, and I'm not a conservative. Even in Canada, you guys are like, just, you don't understand. You label people, you put them on one side or the other, and then make like
I haven't said a
assumptions.
single label.
Honestly, it's completely useless. I'm trying to open a
You're one of the
dialogue.
most disingenuous
What
people
if-
I've heard speak.
Yeah, you know what? This is why we're never going to be able to have a dialogue.
No, because
because you can't open your mind.
Yeah, it's because you've just been coddled to for too long, and you've listened to these people,
Yeah,
and
I'm cuddled.
coddled.
I'm coddled.
Yeah. You've been coddled. Yeah. And you've been allowed to and you've created this like anti-capitalist framework in your brain that these people are being exploited by the system, and you're looking out for them and their marginalized communities. And it's like, and you're not. And as Maiden was saying, that like the people that you are actually trying to look out for are being harmed by this anti-vaccine scourge, and you're helping the people like these like.
I actually think that anti-vaccine is really bad. Anti-vaccine discourse is very bad.
There's a chronic fatigue patient in the comments who asked if they could come up. I actually would love to hear, their thoughts if you're willing to have them up.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can drop them if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, I hate you and Dennis. How's it going?
Yeah, so I've had chronic fatigue since I was 11 years old. I got mono, and I just never felt better again. And during times when my symptoms worse, right, it's just because of information like that online, right, feeding into this community that sometimes is just telling me things that aren't true.
That's hilarious.
Why are you? So you're advocating for my community, but you're gonna laugh at me?
Listen.
How are you laughing at her?
I'm not.
So I've had chronic fatigue for what, 20 years now, and that's not enough for you?
I've had it for 40, and I got much better.
And that
I know
gives you
people
permission
that
to
get
laugh
much
at me?
better. Why do you come here? Why don't you ask questions about what helps people?
I have.
Like you? What have you done? Can I ask?
Talk to my fucking doctor. Actually read real studies that are peer reviewed and approved.
Why
I was
did
like
you
I was
call your
saying,
doctor-
like,
why did you call your doctor fucking doctor? Why did you say that?
I didn't call my doctor a fucking doctor.
This is what I
said
heard. I'm sorry. There's a cut. Is there a recording of this? I'm gonna go and heard it back. Listen to it.
Why don't you believe me?
Because this is what I heard. It's okay.
No. Why all of a sudden now that you have someone who has chronic fatigue, who's had it since they were a very young child, why all of a sudden do you no longer believe me?
I believe you that you have it. Okay.
Why are you treating me like you don't
exactly,
believe me?
What are your symptoms and what have you done? Can I ask?
So you don't believe me?
Well, can you tell me the symptoms that you
Why?
have and what have you done? Can you tell me?
Why?
And how does it affect you? Well, because
you're not a doctor.
Oh my God. Okay, fine.
You're not a doctor. You're not my doctor.
That, like, Sonya, all you care about is anecdotes and this one marginalized community, and yet you literally have an anecdote from someone in that marginalized community, and the first thing that you do is throw it out. Like, it's like, what?
You come here and you try to discredit also like my own experience as well.
No, I didn't.
Well,
what did I say that was doing that?
I saw you writing that I was hurting you like 100 times. Tell me why.
Because you're advocating for harmful things.
How do you know?
Because you said you were. Everything you described, absolutely harmful. Trying to get people to think that scientists don't pay attention to people that are vulnerable to vaccines, that's harmful. Because every time you get a vaccine, no, that is what you said. You said there wasn't any research about this.
No,
that's not true. Every time you get a vaccine, you're given this huge sheet, right, of paper with information about who could be vulnerable, right? And I was given extensive information about who could be vulnerable because I am a vulnerable person.
Well, honestly, here in Canada, I didn't see that. So this is maybe why I'm asking questions. I didn't see
because you didn't see it. It means it didn't happen.
Maybe that made a difference.
Because you didn't see it, it didn't happen.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's not happening, but like I'm asking questions because I didn't see these papers here.
Well,
So maybe
this is
you
like a
guys
standard thing
did a
across the
different
globe,
type of
where when you
campaign.
get some medicine, you get your medicine, there's a huge piece of paper
Well,
that
good for
has
you.
all the risks
Okay.
laid out on it.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
She's
Thank you
just
so
describing a
much,
vaccine
Christian.
insert. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
standard.
a vaccine insert, you get vaccine inserts, you get medical inserts, you get all of this information. All of this information is available to
Okay.
you before
All
you
right.
even go to the pharmacy to get your
Okay.
medication or get your vaccine. All of this information is available online,
It's
right? You
great.
can look it up
I
from
know.
World
I
Health
okay.
Organization.
You're
You could
right.
look it up from multiple different sources. If you don't trust
Oh
the
my
Canadian
God.
government, you can go look up different governments. All of this information is available to you. You just maybe sometimes have to do a little work to
Okay,
find
so
it or figure out how to
listen.
sign up for mailing lists to get that
Listen, I
information.
have
But
to
as a
go to
vulnerable
work. I
person,
don't
I've
have
spent
all
20
of my
years of my
time.
life learning to do that.
Okay, so if my experience is anecdotal, yours is as well. Okay?
Well, then
And you are
so is
not, I am
everything
not the
you've ever
measure.
learned for the
Hey,
last
I'm
20
not the
years.
measure of the whole community, and you aren't either.
No, there's no whole community.
Okay, okay. It's not a
Like-
sect. It's not a religion. I'm talking about not representative of all
Your
the
anecdotes,
MECFS.
any anecdote you ever read, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
There is one more
Alright.
thing I would like to say, and I mean this genuinely, Sonny. There is one way that by putting like all of your, I guess, like eggs in one basket about vaccine harm, essentially in regard with like MECFS, my apologies. What can wind up happening is individuals may then become so convinced that it was the vaccine that they eliminate possible treatment options for themselves. So we're seeing
I
long
don't
COVID.
advocate for that at all. So like,
We're-
do
well,
not tell
what
me
I'm
What you
saying-
that's
said
not what I do.
has.
Hold
That's
on
not what I
one
do,
second.
ever.
What I'm saying is that with a lot of people with long COVID, for example, that have a lot of overlapping features with like MECFS, they're doing a lot of trials with antivirals. Well, if an individual thinks that they were vaccine injured, why would they ever think that they would need to try an antiviral?
Mhm.
And if they're not trying an antiviral, they're not going to improve because they're blaming something that's not the culprit.
Exactly.
Well, all I know is that here where I live, to get help, even for just long COVID, let's say it was never caused by any vaccine or whatever, it's very hard to get help here where I live. Okay, so
Yes, long COVID clinics are generally
sucks.
like full.
It's awful.
and it's actually even worse here in Canada, by the way, much worse.
Maiden, by the way, is honestly one of the strongest advocates for SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 that I've seen on this entire app. Maiden the Mayhem, the person that you're talking to right now, talking about papers on long COVID, talking like she more so than seriously anyone on this app, like championing this issue. So like she's on the forefront of all this research, and she cares a ton about this stuff.
So much because it's genuinely like repeated infections are going to cause harm, and I want people to be aware of that because I think it's been not downplayed a little, but I think the focus has been so much on the acute phase of the illness that we've lost sight of what can happen in the long term, the long-term effects of these infections that we've now decided, since it's endemic, that we're going to continue receiving twice a year. I think the last one I saw is that on average, Americans have been infected at least 5 times on average, and this is just in the 6 years, So, and we see that with each infection, you increase the risk of developing long COVID. So I think that this is a big deal, and I think it really needs a lot more consideration. And vaccines is a really good and helpful way to help at least reduce viral load to prevent some of the chance of developing long COVID. It's shown to be protective. We've seen studies. What was his name? Dr. Ali Oh, I have it. It was the mouse models where they showed that the vaccine had protective benefit with reducing the amount of spike protein accumulation in the brain. The vaccine's
That's real
absolutely
science.
It was an amazing paper.
Maiden, up until okay, so 90%
Just dropped
of
a
what you
follow for
said,
him, by the way.
I was
People
like
should follow.
completely
Thank you.
agreeing. I was completely agreeing with like 90% of what you said. I have observed, and I am nobody. I will agree, and I will say humbly that I'm nobody, but I have observed, even through all the people that I've talked to, and I talked to a lot of people, which is, of course, nothing compared to any study. And I know that I have observed that the more the people do have repeated infections, the worse they get. I'm talking about
Yeah, well, and science agrees with that, but the problem is that you're uplifting that these anecdotes that you've received from people, right, that clearly have stories that embolden your viewpoint.
Exactly. And
right?
they're fake
Because
stories. Like it's so ideological. Like the VAERS database like has a bunch of like fake stuff in there. Like where like my favorite VAERS entry personally is the one where the guy talked about how his vaccine harm was that his third leg grew 3 feet and now it's dragging on the floor. That was in the VAERS database as an official entry. So like a lot of times like people go through there and they see all these junk entries and then they read this stuff and then they think that they're legitimate anecdotes, but they don't realize that like an actual researcher has to scrub those databases. You can't just take an anecdotal like as a piece of evidence. You have to match it with an actual health outcome, with actual medical resource, and actual like data, that they can link together. Just the anecdote isn't enough. It isn't enough. It's just not.
But these are
but you come up here and you say, instead of I don't know about this, you say stuff like scientists don't care about people. You say doctors. No, please let me finish.
Not what I said.
That is what you said. You said scientists don't care about these outliers. They don't. Don't interrupt me.
I didn't say scientists.
I was here the whole time you were here.
But I was talking about.
Are you gaslighting me now?
Methods. I'm talking about the method of shrinkage.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm talking about. I don't know why you need to interrupt me to gaslight me about that.
I was asking questions about it.
No, you weren't.
Oh my God.
You had an actual MD that's done research that was talking that exact thing like through, and you still are bringing it up. Like what more do you need? I've never actually done any human trials before, but you had someone that actually had an MD that's doing that. I mean,
when you talk about these things as if you come from a place of authority instead of please don't interrupt me.
In the beginning that I was not. And that I'm not a scientist. I said it in the beginning.
Please don't interrupt me. You talk about these things, saying these broad statements, right? About the methodology and all of this stuff, when you, admittedly, you yourself are not a scientist. When you do that, you embolden people who wish to further harm disabled people, vulnerable people, by drawing to question these things that you don't fully understand. Instead of just asking questions, you've made a lot of oh my God.
But you're saying a lot of false things in what you're saying.
You can't even let me finish a sentence. This isn't an attack to you. I don't know why you think it is. It's not. But if you really care about this community, then you need to listen to people in it. Because not only do I have chronic fatigue, I have like 6 other rare disorders that don't get nearly as much research as chronic fatigue does. So like I'm someone who is absolutely affected by this. So by you calling into question these things and claiming these things that aren't true, instead of just being willing to listen to 3 people who are highly qualified to talk about this. Like, look, you can even see literally all his degrees back there. Highly qualified to talk about this. When you don't know something, instead of making claims about something, why not just say, hey, I'm not sure about this, instead of fighting back them the entire time? Because that fighting back does things that actively harm multiple communities you claim to care about.
Like Sonya, I mean, you will agree with me that there is a huge anti-vax problem in Canada, right? That measles is like a huge problem that's happening that we need to help people get. Okay, so let's work on messaging on how we can, bolster, the scientific, credibility, I guess. If you said that before, I don't necessarily agree, but like I don't know what the problem is in Canada that's causing the anti-vax, it's sentiment
It's
that's
actually
happening there.
stemming from what's happening in the USA, by the way.
Okay, so
Because
it's
the
misinformation
media,
that's pushed by bots and stuff like that.
there's
Is that what you mean?
I'm serious about
Okay.
it. A lot of
Yeah.
people in Canada are Trumpists and MAGAs and MAHAs, and it breaks my heart like you cannot believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
perfect.
by
I mean, well,
engaging
not
in
perfect,
things
but you
like
know what I mean.
by engaging in things like terrain theory, right? That's not real. That's
Exactly.
misinformation.
That
You're
is a
also
Maha
spreading
thing.
that misinformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is specifically a Maha thing that was born out of Southern California,
Oh
the
my
Bay
God.
Area.
Yes.
Wow.
Do you think terrain? Wait, so you think terrain
It's
theory?
not. It's not all. No, it's just.
You know what
part of-
miasma theory
yeah.
is?
Isn't that kind of the same thing? I don't know. You
Yeah,
can
when did
explain it to
miasma
me.
theory come about?
Listen, I told
No,
you
I
that
wanna
I'm
know.
a French Canadian. Please, we don't have the same words, so maybe
This
if
isn't
you
even
explain
from the
to me, I
United
will tell
States.
you if I understand what
This
it means.
was like
Okay.
pre-Black Plague.
Okay, so let's terrain theory is pushed by people that don't believe in germ theory. They basically think
Oh, no,
that,
no, no,
that
no, no, no,
microbes
no.
aren't
Yes,
real.
it is.
That they
No,
don't think
wait,
that
wait, wait, wait.
viruses
No,
are real.
no, I understand now. It's okay. No,
Okay.
no, I'm sorry. So then I really didn't use the term well.
Okay.
I absolutely believe in germs.
Okay.
I actually think that it's quite the core problem.
Okay.
I believe in
So
germs.
I mean, so basically,
I actually believe it's the problem in almost all illnesses. Of course, there are structural issues. There are many things, but I do believe in all the germs. No, don't worry about that.
Okay, so
no,
I mean,
Then you need to be more
but I'm
careful
just-
about what you say.
Yeah, I'm giving you a
but
context.
I
Then I'm
told you
giving you
guys that
context.
I'm French Canadian,
It's fine.
and so
You're-
sometimes I just
Your English is
I'm
fine,
sorry.
but I'm just letting you know. So basically,
Okay,
instead of
thank you.
germs, they think that terrain or the environment causes the disease. So instead of someone getting
no.
sick by a virus, they think that they're just like they're creating the environment inside of their body that degrades, and that's where the disease comes from, as opposed to viruses causing disease within people. So that's
No,
what people
sorry,
talk about
okay.
when they say terrain theory.
Okay, I didn't.
No. It's okay.
Sorry.
I understand, but
Sorry, it's
that's
okay. No, I absolutely believe in germs, and
okay.
and they can actually, if there's something about it, I do actually believe that they can modify the terrain if that is what the terrain is.
Yeah, it's basically they pushed by these Maha people because they're trying to sell supplements, and they're saying, well, if you want your terrain to be healthy, then you need to buy my $100 a month,
No, I'm not in
vitamin
that
pill.
world. No,
Yeah,
no, I'm not about
that's
that.
fine.
That's
but I'm
fine.
just saying. But see how like
I'm
Sonya,
sorry. Well,
Sonya,
thank you
Sonya,
for correcting me, though.
Yeah.
Do you see how
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
open to be corrected?
And you're welcome back, and you're welcome here anytime. And I'm not like that's totally fine. But I'm just saying that like this is by we're yeah. I
thank
think
you so
that
much
genuinely
for correcting that.
yeah, genuinely like we have to help science be more credible. We have to like
Sure.
help people come back from these crazed like the states.
I actually want to actually create a dialogue. This is why I'm trying to understand things better.
Good.
I'm serious, and I know I might come across like somebody who's not believing science or not, but this is not who I am, and I'm not as knowledgeable as you. So like, I'm very ready to absorb what you're saying. Okay.
I just think it's
Thank you.
important to become more knowledgeable before you have these conversations.
It's a lot of times the people's like
Really?
first chance to like
Yes.
ask a scientist a question. So this is their
Yeah,
basically
but, like,
saying things that they had just like heard before. So that is like what happens.
No.
a
Yeah,
lot.
but if you're going to claim to advocate for people, you should be an expert on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what you're saying
that
is
a
towing.
normal human being that is talking with many people and then trying to understand things.
But
And
that's great.
There are
But
many.
don't call yourself an advocate.
Hey, I'm not. I'm coming here to understand things. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
if you would let me finish my sentence,
okay,
then you would have understood that I was going to say is that you're towing a line in between like reality and very dangerous misinformation
Exactly.
that is causing people to unalive and perish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think like the problem is like Sonya, a lot of the words that you have talked about and the phrases that you put in, if you put it into Google, you're going to be going into some Maha blogs. You're going to be going into like a lot of places that say they have studies that they say they have this stuff. So that's why like someone like me who talks to these Republicans all the time, and I'm like, oh, I'm recognizing these red flags one after another. I'm not calling you a Republican, right? But I'm saying that you're lighting up all these flags and stuff that I'm like, okay, this person is just unintentionally picking up right-wing propaganda. That's just what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that you are, and I'm saying that should, as a fellow leftist, I'm telling you that your compassion is being taken over. You know what I mean? Like they're exploiting you in a bad way.
Dr. Greg, can I tell you something about this? You referring constant to Maha and Trump and whatever.
Sure.
I've been navigating this since well before this movement of MAGA Maha was born. Okay, so please stop. You know, I'm not a Republican. I'm not Maha. I'm not MAGA. I am extremely distraught from this political atmosphere going on all over the world. I'm actually not well about it at all. Okay, and I understand why you think I'm manipulated, and it's fine. You can think that. I know my experience, and if I could talk about it for a long time, maybe we'd come to. I don't want to convince you, and I know you like you maybe want to convince me. I don't know what we're doing, but we're conversing, and I think that I have the right to ask questions to understand better.
Always.
And if you know, isn't this democracy to be able to talk? 'Cause, like, my goal is really not to win.
And here's the thing, no one is saying that's your goal. No one's calling you a Republican. No one's calling you Maha.
Well, in the beginning, yes, I was called.
No,
yes.
no one here has ever said that, not even once. What they're saying is you need to be careful about the information you're absorbing and talking about, because it harms people, harms communities, harms yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's all anyone said the whole time.
Yeah, and I am
Okay,
trying
well,
to.
well,
We are trying to fix this problem that we need to solve, which is this anti-vaccine, problem, right? Where people aren't vaccinating their kids. I think that it's child abuse. I think that people are harming their children by not vaccinating them. I think that we have been way too soft and coddled these anti-vaccine sentiments and stuff. So that's my thing. I feel like we have to give these people some tough love. So that's my angle that I'm coming at it with. And we politically are an active community that are trying to stop these Maha bills. We've done over 1,200 political actions, calls, emails, trying to stop over 400 anti-vaccine, anti-public health bills that are in the United States. So I'm not neutral here. Absolutely, I'm trying to fight against this anti-vaccine stuff, and we're a whole community of engaged people that are trying to actually make a difference. So,
okay, I'm just trying to understand, okay, how we can establish a dialogue, because my impression, and I can be wrong, is that there are people that maybe it was just an impression, but there are people that at least think or are convinced that they've been harmed. And I'm not saying that the cause was necessarily the vaccine. It could have been their previous condition or maybe some genetic predisposition. And again, I can be wrong, and you can judge me for being ignorant. You can, absolutely. I'm just trying to understand how we can establish a dialogue so that these people that have been convinced to be injured and that sometimes are also dismissed by the medical community, the system, especially here, there's not much help in Quebec and in Canada. And actually, Quebec is even worse than the rest of Canada. And I know that there are a lot of people with chronic illness and autoimmune disease, especially women here. And I'm saying maybe it's not the case in the US, but what I'm saying is that we're seeing this a lot. People have been dismissed, and when they're dismissed, they cry, they scream. And the more they scream, the more they scare people around them. And the more people are scared around them, well, the more it becomes a paranoia that is not justified. What if there was more studies about what is really happening so that we know better how to prevent these injuries, even if they're extremely rare? What if we know more? And I know there's maybe some studies, but I don't think it's all done. And maybe I'm wrong again.
I
You
think
can correct me. And then what if knowing better and preventing better will appease the population and create more trust?
so. I think of course, more studies is great, but there's this assumption that the world of science doesn't care about these people.
This is not what I'm saying.
Like you're saying
But do
that
you know
these
how
studies aren't
study?
being
But
done,
are you
that
yourself a
the world of
scientist?
science isn't considering these people. They aren't making great strides to help these people. And if they did, right, then people would trust science more. Science is doing these things, right?
Some are doing it, but then it doesn't necessarily in the medical system. Maybe there's a lack of communication. Maybe something is
So,
happening because there are
do you want to
people
know what's
that
happening? It's
feel
political.
harmed.
There's
It's all
also another,
politics.
if I could say something quickly, there's also, we can have all kinds of research, but another major issue is a lack of understanding and education on fundamentals about how the immune system even works. For example, the immune system is incredibly diverse, like as our species. And that makes a lot of sense because if we all had the exact same functioning immune system and we came across a pathogen that we are all vulnerable to, that would wipe out our entire species. So we have to have a lot of variance in our immune system and how it responds to different microbes, different viruses, different bacteria, you name it, right? And so then because of that diversity, we cannot predict how every single individual is going to respond because that's how our species is able to survive because it's going to respond differently. Does that so that's why we don't understand some of the stuff because we just can't. Like we can't predict how every single immune system will function because of the diversity.
I understand that. But the problem is that that will cause maybe a very minor percentage of people to suffer. And the problem is that those that do, and I know that a lot of you don't believe this, but I don't have the luxury of not believing because I listen to people and I don't like to dismiss people. And you can say that I'm manipulated as much as you want, but this is who I am. I listen. Maybe I have too much empathy, maybe not. But I listen. I before I listen, and I I draw a conclusion. I still ask an incredible amount of questions, and what I see is that and again, I even know that correlation is not causation, okay? I even know that, and I try to apply that principle a lot. But what I'm saying is if we knew more, or if things would be studied more on these things that you're saying that we cannot understand exactly all the individualities, but what if there were a little bit more um, studies on this? Like, do you think that there could be a little more?
What is the perfect amount of studies?
Yeah, how many studies do you
I don't
need? I
know.
mean, I don't think that it's amount of studies problem. It's the fact that people understand the world and they perceive scientific things that are happening through these algorithms, and people see things one title at a time, and they see thousands of different. They have a page full of conspiracies because they're interested in conspiracies, and then they have these algorithms that push like vaccine harm stories one after another to them. So that's all they see, and they live in a world of the world is flat and the vaccines harm people, and now they
Oh my God.
think that. So it doesn't matter, in my opinion. It actually doesn't matter how many studies that we do, because we have these algorithms that are shaping how people view reality, and it's harming people.
So I have a question for you. You know more about this than I do, okay? And after I'm gonna have to leave because I already am late for my tasks.
Sorry.
And again, I'm sorry. I know I'm monopolizing a lot of the panel,
No, you're
and
great. It's awesome.
Really,
I appreciate you.
I'm actually appreciating this so much because you know why? Because the smarter I get about this, I'm not saying that I'm smart. The more the more knowledgeable I am about this, the more maybe um, I'll be able to create a dialogue between people that you do you understand where I'm going?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
You'll
Okay,
be a better
so
patient advocate. I can get that. Like the more educated you are, you can advocate better.
yes. Okay. Um oh
You had a question. I was talking about algorithms fixing people's
yeah.
reality.
Okay. Okay, so you know, first of all, I don't believe in flat earth either.
Yeah.
You know, I really don't. You know what? I'm gonna have to leave, so I feel that if I start this argument, it's gonna be a long time. What if I come back
Okay. You're
another
always welcome back.
time? When are you? Because also I feel like I'm monopolizing a lot. And
No, it's
when are
all.
you doing these?
I usually go like 9 o'clock PST. So that's usually like when I'm usually a nighttime streamer. But I've been
Okay,
doing
so you're
more
in
of
the
these during the
Pacific?
day. Yeah, 9 o'clock Pacific at night. So it's usually like a nighttime
Okay.
stream. But you're welcome to
Okay.
join the Discord and like absolutely. So yeah.
You know, I people think that well, you see these comments. I'm here to discuss with scientists. If I thought science was bad, I would never come here and have myself, you know. um, anyways, I feel like I'm not understood. I actually want to understand science better, how it works, how you guys think, how it's done. I want to know more about how to understand studies, how to how to even judge if they're positive and negative, or if they're credible or less. I want to know more about all that actually. I really want to. So. Okay. And I also want to tell that oh shoot, she left.
But she's still
I want
here.
Okay, I just wanted to express that I actually do have compassion that I hear that person that was talking about. I have suffered like more than half a dozen complications, and I actually even have a very serious, very complex and rare disease myself. Okay, and I've done everything under the sun to get better. I have found solutions that, when you look deep down, the science is there, but it was not transmitted to me by doctors. It was, I understood it through reading a lot of actually science. Honestly, I read a lot of studies that doctor never mentioned to me, and that actually helped me get better. I found solutions myself. So, people that tell me that I don't like science, that kind of, I resent that. I resent that.
Okay.
And
We'll
I
have to
see you
unpack this
laughing
later.
at
We're
me.
gonna have to unpack that later. We're gonna have to we're gonna
Yeah,
have to come back. Okay.
but yeah, but it's serious. It's
Yeah.
serious.
No, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. But yeah,
You're
it's
laughing because you
no,
think that one study cannot help a person, that you have to
no.
have 100
It's because what Debate Doc
peer-reviewed
was
studies
talking
to
about.
help somebody.
You can
What?
find it. You can basically find a study that says it's a study that's from a DOI that's in a journal that to say anything. So it kind of the fact that you said you found a study to say it, you might have
No,
been.
not only one.
Yeah.
I've read many
Okay.
studies. By the way, I've spent like 24/7 sometimes for months to find whatever could help me get better, okay? And so I don't like it when this experience of mine is dismissed, even if it's anecdotal, for you guys, for people to say that I don't care about science. It saved my life, okay?
Roger.
So, anyways,
Okay.
it saved my life, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't appreciate it, and if I don't, I want to establish a dialogue. What if I can help? Maybe I can't, but that's not my goal. It's not my goal to hurt at all, and I'm sorry if I did sound like that in any way.
It's okay. It's all good. Yeah, we'll have to tell. Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate
Okay.
you, and sorry for making you late.
Okay, no problem. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Also, thanks for having me up.
Yeah.
I had
Guys,
just wanted to.
Follow
Thank
Maiden.
you.
Follow Maiden right here.
Oh,
Follow her. She has
oh,
great
you were
content, like real, genuinely, really good science content. She is constantly talking about awesome, cool things about the ongoing pandemic that happens right now. Like, guys, we're in a
right.
pandemic, so absolutely,
Well,
she's
thank
awesome.
you.
And Debate Doc, Debate Doc's
And
the
if
2025 guest of
obviously
the
you
year.
should be
Yeah.
absolutely. And if obviously you're in this live, you should be following Dr. Greg. And if not, what are you doing? You need to do that.
Something like that for sure. All right. Thank you guys for coming up. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
All
Dr.
right.
Greg.
I appreciate you having me.
Bye. See ya. All right, guys. Well, that was awesome. I'm so happy. I see 5 minutes. I'm sorry, but I was only supposed to be on for an hour, and we are on for 3 now, just because that was 2 hours with that person. So I thought that was a really good conversation, though. I think that people's, and we talk about this a lot, like people get like they have well-meaning, right? They have meaning that they go into these spaces and they're exploited, right? They want the best for their child, so that they're trying to figure out, how do I parent? And then they put that into Google, and now they're given this mom blog that's super popular, and they're like, oh, what's going on? And you're like, oh, you can actually check some of the harm for stop some of this harm that's going on by questioning vaccine scheduling. And people are like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing that it could happen. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Sorry. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, 5 minute. How's it going?
It's going. That's all I got right now. It's going.
Okay.
How are you? You look good.
Thank you.
Hello, panel. Yeah. DM you some other stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Because somebody decided they wanted to hop on me in the panel. Here's the deal, y'all. No, on God. No, for real. Here's the deal. This is a form of advocating. He's advocating, and we're here to advocate with him.
Mm-hmm.
I've been advocating my entire life. I'm 48 years old. It's a very frustrating, very, very type of a situation when you're advocating.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. When you get somebody that begins to concede to a point that you made, or allows you to correct them on a word that they've used, those are called small victories. And they are very much needed, because advocating is ruthless. It is soul draining, emotionally draining, spiritually draining, mentally draining, and you have to learn to get your small wins where you can, so your cup is not super desert dry. You see what I'm saying? That's what so that you're not a 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, even a year later, so burnt out because all you're doing is raging at these people who don't know better. Take your small wins. It doesn't mean that, oh my God, this person is now on our side and amen, amen, all right, all right. It don't mean that. But what it does mean is that you were able to make a small opening and a small change into that person's thought process. And now where that goes, we don't know. We can only hope that it goes to allow her to be more open,
yeah,
to what we're advocating for. So don't come for me. Don't do it.
I think you and I had were both friends who just like miscrossed and had a problem with the text thing. So
no, that's not what that was. Don't
okay, okay. But I agree that like we have to use compassion first, right? We have to. I give people tough love, but it's out of love. You know what I mean? It's out of compassion. It's trying to give a hand up. We're not pushing people down farther, right? But you know,
just don't come for me. I'm sorry, Dr. Greg. I don't.
You're fine. You're fine.
Respectful, and I'm not trying to turn out your chat.
You're fine.
In all of my years, decades of doing this is something my mother spent 20 years teaching me. And okay, she's not really in earshot right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and be like, she was right.
Yeah.
Mom was right. And it was so much more helpful when I started adapting those things that she was telling me about.
Yeah.
Okay, she's getting close. But you know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. You just
I think
can't keep raging.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, you gotta, it is tough. It is very tough. It's tough to like, and people really, when you're advocating for something that you really care about, it's like, it's, you know, it's hard to keep your emotions at bay. I have the problem like that. That's because I wear my emotion on my sleeve. Something's happening bad in the world, I feel like personally depressed, you know, about it. So it's like, yeah, it is. And we know kind of like the stakes, like what's happening right around the world, and what, especially with you, 5 Minute, like personally about a lot of, this isn't just like a, you know, should this happen or should it's not? It's like, no, I could die, you know, and that's a big thing. So I think that's like really important to keep in context too. And yeah, I think we're all trying to make the world a little bit better, you know, that are here, that are in the community, trying to, you know, push it a little bit forward. And there's different approaches. People, you know, people always tone police me in the chat, and they're like, oh, maybe you're coming too hard or something. And it's like, I think it's better just to be who you are. It's better to be more genuine about, this is who I am. And this is like, you know, there's a bunch of like real sterile scientists that you can just watch, that, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of talking about this stuff or whatever, and that's cool. But my approach is mine, and I'm more genuine for that, you know. Thank you, Sonya.
Well, I'm not. Well, no, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not speaking to your process.
Okay, I'm just saying generally, yeah.
No, I get it. We there. I got you. Okay, I got you. Come on now.
There we go.
You know. Yes, I'm just, you know, it's rare that I feel like I have to address these things, but
oh, thank you, F-on.
Just because you can say to somebody, you know what, you did make a point there, it doesn't mean you suddenly have crossed over to the devil's side. It does not mean that all of a sudden you are a traitor and, oh my God, why are you here in the chat? Because didn't you hear what she was saying before? And that's still her stance, but she had enough humility to say, oh, I used that word wrong. I didn't realize that was the definition. Thank you. Be gracious and accept the thank you and move on. And you still are on your sides, your separate sides of the situation. It's okay. It's okay to give grace where grace has been earned. And it is okay to come into these situations with the idea that you are not only going to be calm, but you are going to be kind, and as kind as you are knowledgeable. That's it. That's all. I'm gonna leave now because you said you've been here too long.
Okay, 5 Minute. Thank you for coming up as always. Thank you. Bye-bye. Appreciate you. Yeah, Sonya, you're good. You're all, Sonya, you're welcome here every time. It's all good. You're welcome here every day. We have people We have people coming up, asking questions and stuff, and that's totally okay. I love it. Like genuinely. Yeah, we don't ban people for wrong think or something. Nobody has to believe exactly what I believe. That's the whole point of like this space, like trying to be like open and learning, and that's I love it. So you're always welcome here, Sonya. You're all good. And honestly, hey guys, how many atheist, leftist, scientist debaters are out there? You know what I mean? So Sonya, I'm your guy. You know what I mean? There's nobody else. There's nobody else, Sonya. I'm your streamer. So you're stuck here. So there you go. There you go. There's one in the world. So there you go. Anyway, guys, I was supposed to do 2 hours. I did 3.5, so I need to go. But that was a really great conversation, Sonya. I really do appreciate you coming up, genuinely. And yeah, I look forward to join the Discord and hanging out. F1, that's not what you said yesterday. You said I have to think like you, believe like you. Well, you F1, you though. You know what I mean? What is Discord? Okay, well, it's a community like chat program. Like basically, it's like a group chat. It's like a group chat. Yeah, it's cool. It's where a lot of like online communities hang out and like post links and discuss things outside of streams and that kind of thing. So that's what it is. So most like YouTubes and Twitch and TikTok communities will have a Discord. Yeah. Just go to drgregshow.com. It's in my profile, and the link's there. All right, guys. Love you. If you're not aware, I normally stream at 9 o'clock at night, PST, but I'm here during the day. So I appreciate you. Love you. If you want to check me out later, follow me now. Go to drgregshow.com to see all my other stuff. If you're new here, you don't normally watch my stuff, Dr. Greg Show on YouTube. That's where all like my highlights, the best conversations, that's where it's all is. We're live on YouTube right now if you like that platform too. I see Titan in chat, Bockles in Twitch chat. I appreciate you. You like him, F1? Cool. I've been trying it out. I'm interested. I'm dabbling. I'm flirting with the daytime. So we'll see. But thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you. User, maybe, I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to see. So maybe I'll give you a strong 50%. I'll give you a strong 50%. Just because like, yeah, I've been trying to use the time. Basically, I've been trying to stream during the day when my wife doesn't work at night. So then I can take that night off and spend that time with her. So that's been what I've been doing kind of like on the nights off. Because normally when she's working or she's at clinicals or something like that, and she has to go to bed, having that nighttime after the kids go to bed, like just with her, it's really nice because it can just like be like our time together. So that's been really fun. So I've been trying to stream during the day so I can, do this stuff. I know, Mrs. Dr. G, I know. She's real. I promise you guys, she is real. Oh my gosh. She is real. She is real. I swear to God. I promise. She's real. She's I used to have like anyway, that's a long story I'm not going to get into, but yeah, there you go. She needs more guest appearances. See ya, Queen. Yeah, she had a great time. That was really cool. You guys were so nice to her. She was totally down. I don't know, maybe we'll have like a parenting episode or something. I think that'd be kind of a cool thing, would be like that'd be a cool thing to talk about or something, parenting, something different. Heather, you know what? It's interesting. It's actually on the live. It's on my live, the live side on my YouTube. So if you wanted to go back. One thing I'd like to say is the people who pasteurize their raw milk should be okay. That's a good point, Dan. Yeah, people. You know what's funny, Dan, is that there's a trend. You know what they do. The raw milkers are really getting into chocolate milk, and what they're doing is that they're making raw milk hot chocolate. And so what they're doing, in order to melt the chocolate, they're boiling the raw milk to make raw milk hot chocolate. And they're like, so they're like, which is, I approve. Every time that you boil your raw milk hot chocolate, that's a, you know what? You guys can have that. You can have raw milk hot chocolate all you want. Just boil the milk, melt the chocolate. You got me. You know what I mean? You got me, guys. You got me. You got me. Shh, Heather. Heather. Shh, don't tell them, Heather. I don't think that they do. I don't think that they do, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. I don't think that they do. All right, guys. Well, thank you for, yeah. No, I do like the boiled hot chocolate, raw milk. Dr. G is not the hot one in his marriage. Dude, Miss Cake, dude, Mrs. Dr. G posting those photos. I was like, yo, post more. That was wild. Even Ness showed up in the comments on a couple of them and were like, yo. She was like, she goes on Mrs. Dr. G's photos. She goes, excuse me, some of us have husbands on the app. I thought that was so funny. No, it's so funny. Yeah, exactly. The raw milk hot chocolate bandwagon. So there you go. I love it. I love it. Anyway, I love you guys. I love you guys. Oh, I love you, Rachel from Uganda. Thank you. That's cool. It's the guys.
The world famous Dr. Greg show.
You know what I mean? With a comment like that, how can you say no? Right? Love from Uganda. How amazing. Oh, Heather. Well, I'm happy that you got the medical care that you need. Not all people from functional medicine is stupid like that. Yeah, there you go. True. The love is worldwide. Thank you, Matthew. You're so kind. Oh, you're too nice, Matthew. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Dude, isn't Maiden awesome? Like, Maiden the Mayhem, guys. Like, dude, she is such a badass, guys. Like, seriously, Maiden of Mayhem does like the best SARS-CoV-2 like streams and like content. Like, still, like, I respect that so much because like we still are in a pandemic. It's still a problem, and we need people like Maiden out there, you know, talking about the science, talking about like she educates me on like there's a new. I'll be honest, I haven't been like keeping up with the literature like I was, you know, during the first like 2 or 3 years of it. So like she'll post stuff to me. She'll post like, you know, papers and she'll give papers to me, and I'm like, oh, dude, thank you for doing this. Yeah, Laughter and Light too. Yeah, I mean, like Maiden is still on like she will post the papers stuff and like send me papers. She's like still like very abreast on like the knowledge of what's happening. It's awesome. She's awesome about it. So, but yeah, Laughter and Light's like you know, she's doing great stuff on like larger immunology kind of stuff, like larger than SARS-CoV-2 specifically now, but Maiden's doing awesome stuff. So yeah, Maiden the Mayhem _ guys. If you don't know her, she's genuinely incredible. Really appreciate her. And then that was so cool to have Debate Doc and Maiden the Mayhem on there at the same time. That was so cool to have two people that had, I mean, because I've never done human research, right? So that was really cool for Debate Doc to come up like that. And then Maiden was like, I was like, oh man, I don't know the exact details of what they're talking about. And Maiden's like, can I request up? And I'm like, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the likes. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the hearts. We got right at the beginning of that conversation, we got limited on the search because of me like pushing people to other websites or something. And I was like, it was such a good conversation, I didn't want to like stop it, but that's why we have like 15 people in here. So we have not been able to be pushed this entire time. Yeah, it is what it is. It's okay. I would have restarted like 10 minutes ago if I was going to keep going, but I'm not going to. So I'm hanging out. Love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'm normally a daytime person. There you go. The hot chocolate raw milk. Boil the raw milk. It's the best raw milk. And then you it's just, check it out, guys. Check it out. Check it out. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Hope to see you tonight, maybe, or tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, probably tomorrow. And thank you, Efon. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you. And again, please, the YouTube really helps me right now. I'm trying to push. I'm actually, check out, if you've never seen the YouTube stream, check it out, because it actually has more information. It's like a wider shot now. It has like cooler stuff on the sides. Yeah, like the TV is actually in play. It's like a whole side panel, and then it's really cool. And then this shot looks cool. Check it out. Check it out. So anyway, guys, love you. Thank you for watching. As always, thank you for supporting me and following me and watching me in the day in these weird times. And hope to see you soon. Okay? Bye. Love you. Have a good one. Be kind to someone. See ya. All right, YouTube. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Thank you for being on YouTube or Twitch, Kick, Facebook, wherever you are right now. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you. And